I'm living paycheck to paycheck, and that's ridiculous. I made a mistake.
14%? Then you took out like a $30,000 loan for it?
Can't even get a credit card.
So you essentially bought a $12,000 car for $29,000. I can see why there's been no progress made on this.
Very, very poor decision.
A $700 a month car payment, making $3,300.
Oh, no, I've done that.
Between your rent and your car payment, we're spending more money than we're making in a month.
No, I'm done with that.
There's not an easy way to get out of that right now. You got to make choices at some point. Dramatic things need to happen. They need to happen fast.
My name is Elizabeth Picciardo. I'm 41 years old, and I'm calling in from Burbank, California.
And what do you get for work?
I am a esthetician, a freelancer for a skincare company, and a comedic actress, and I do voiceover work.
How much you make providing skincare services?
Under $10,000 a year.
Okay, and freelancing, how much you make a year?
Probably close to about $25,000.
And how much from the acting and voiceovers?
It's a little under $15,000.
Okay, so combined income, $50,000 range. Does that sound about right?
That's pretty close. Probably pre-tax.
You're kind of walking away with about $40,000 after taxes, it looks like.
That sounds right on the money, no pun intended.
Living in the state of California, that's not a cheap state to live in, is it?
No, not at all. No.
And how long have you been doing, I guess, freelancing, the skincare stuff, and acting?
Well, I've been doing the acting since I've been here, since 2019. And then I've been doing the freelance work. I actually just started doing that this year. I had a full-time retail position for just under 2 years prior to that.
Okay. What made you jump into the freelance world?
Well, I wanted to have the option to be able to travel. And I loved being able to go into one of our locations where our accounts are held and experiencing the guests that are over there. I also like the flexibility in the schedule because of a lot of the castings and auditions that I do. It just helps to have much more of a flexible schedule to be able to accommodate, to make that successful as well. More opportunity to grow in my skincare world.
What's your long-term career goals?
I would love to get on to a sitcom and eventually a feature film doing voiceover. My ultimate, right at the top of Pikes Peak would be getting a voiceover role for a Pixar film.
Awesome. That would be a great goal. So how would you define your current financial situation if you had to on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being horrific, 10 being best in the world.
2.
A 2? And why would you rate yourself that?
Because I'm living paycheck to paycheck, and that's ridiculous.
And how long have you been living paycheck to paycheck, would you say?
I don't recall a time when I'm not.
41 right now, so did you go to college?
I did for a little bit. I didn't finish. The only thing that I completed was my esthetician course. And then I attended community college pursuing business psychology and also theater. I ended up walking away from that because I had a business that I was owning with my mom, and it took a lot of time to do that. And I actually was not pursuing what I really had wanted to pursue when I was going to school, which is I really wanted to get into pre-med. But it's one of those moments where it's like, oh, no, I could never do that. But I just never believed that I could make a career out of it. But I've always had the acting bug in me.
Did you take out any student loans for community college?
No.
It's been about 20 years since kind of went to community college. What were you doing the previous 18 years or so?
I was working as a barista at Starbucks, and then I was also working in retail, and I was a bank teller at one point. I was, trying a little bit of everything, but the one commonality was I was always doing something in retail.
Okay. So you did a lot of different jobs, it sounds like.
Yes.
And your financial situation for the last 18 years, would you say you've been living paycheck to paycheck for majority of that time period?
Yes.
And what have you done, I guess, to educate yourself or kind of learn about money over the last 20 years? Well,
I'm not very good at saving. For a period of time, lived a lot without of my means. That's why I don't have any credit cards right now. Credit score, I'm not even going to go there. Can't even get a credit card. I usually have to have a cosigner whenever I have to, get a car, sign a new lease for an apartment. So right now, for the past probably under 5 years have been in the coming to Jesus moment and recovering, but it's like what you can do in 5 seconds could take you 10 years to get back. And that's kind of the position that I'm in right now. And because I lived without of my means, I'm now just having to kind of pay that back and, get myself in more of a stable situation.
Glad you found me and found the show, and I'm excited to have you on here because that's the point of why I started this, is I want to help people like yourself not live paycheck to paycheck. not feel like you can't have fun in life, can't enjoy life. Obviously, there does come sacrifice to getting out of debt and staying out of debt, but at the same time, it's attainable because you look at anyone in the world and you say, I can't live within my means. There's probably someone that makes 20% less than you in your same zip code. And
Right.
they're figuring out how to do it. But there's also ways that you can figure out how to prioritize spending in your life to stay out of debt and also still spend money on things you love. So let's talk about that. What are your current debts you have right now?
Say it's my car is the biggest. And then I would say some personal debt from money that I've had to borrow. Credit cards, I mean, I don't have any, so I don't have any credit cards.
Okay. So car loan, what's the total balance on that car loan right now?
It is $27,000.
Oh, wow. So that's a nice car. What kind of car is it?
It is a Jeep Cherokee Laredo, the Jeep that I dreamt of having ever since I was 16 years old. Getting it, it was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that this has happened. It's a 2012. The reason that I had
It's a 2012 and it's a $27,000 loan on it still?
Yes, because I had to bring over from a previous vehicle. I had a balance left from that. I made a mistake and I got BMW and I had the residuals left over from that put into the debt for this.
And how much did you roll over from that previous BMW? How much underwater were you?
That was $18,000.
What was the price of the Grand Cherokee?
It was $12,500.
It was $12,500, but then you took out like a $30,000 loan for it?
$28.29. I haven't been able to pay down much of the principal and not being able to pay the contract amount consecutively or on time because of being out of work due to everything being shut down for the period of time that it was.
So make sure I'm understanding correctly. You had a BMW, rolled over $18,000 worth of debt from that BMW into a personal loan or a new loan for $29,000 to buy a $12,000 car. So you essentially bought a $12,000 car for $29,000, $27,000 left on the loan right now for that Grand Cherokee.
Yeah.
And your car payment is $695 a month, correct?
Yes.
You know what the interest rate on that is?
It is, I think it's 14%.
14%?
Yeah, my credit score I told you my credit score is not very good. It's very high.
Oh my. I can see why there's been no progress made on this. I mean, you got a $700 a month car payment making $3,300. Basically, a fourth of your net take-home pay is going towards that. And that doesn't include insurance or gas.
The insurance is actually not that bad because I'm a good driver. So.
And I guess, yeah, $117. I've seen worse insurances. Why did you get rid of the BMW, and when did you make this car purchase?
I made the car purchase in 2020, February of 2020, and that is because the BMW was literally sucking me dry because I was able to make the payments before.
What kind of BMW was this?
It was...
I'm just trying to understand how you're underwater $18,000.
It was a 325, 2017.
And did you buy that new?
No, it was used.
What did you buy it used for?
$22,000.
And then how much did you sell it for?
They gave me $2,000 for it.
$2,000?
$2,500. Had a lot of mileage on it. There was a lot of body damage.
That's where the issue you ran into is I was trying to figure out how you're underwater $18,000. But yeah, if you buy a car for $22,000, you had it probably for what, a year or two?
I had it for 3 years.
And you probably paid that loan down from $22,000 to $20-something thousand, had $18,000 left on the balance when you sold it. Wow, okay. Not a fun sight to see, and that's why financing cars can leave you upside down in a heartbeat in situations like this when it takes all your money with repairs or things that have issues, and then find yourself selling a car for $20,000 less than you bought it for 3 years later, and then you're $18,000 in the hole.
It's, being able to actually be open and like say it is like a little challenging for me because I'm like, I'm really not this stupid. And I just got caught up in materialism and I should have never gotten the vehicle to begin with. It was one of those decisions that I made based upon emotion.
Frankly, you're not the first person that's done that and you're not the last. I mean, the world's built off emotion and we have $1 trillion worth of credit card debt in America right now. And car debt is majority built off emotion. People want to get the nicest thing in the world. They want to impress the neighbors and they buy something that they think they can afford today. Something happens and they can't afford it. Or a lot of people buy material things that they don't necessarily need and find themselves upside down or find themselves just drowning paycheck to paycheck because trying to impress other people and getting caught up in the world of materialism. So,
but I wish I knew that before I forked over, the plastic card or got handed the keys, So, I mean, I I do not regret getting the Jeep, but the BMW absolutely 110% do not. That was a very, very poor decision. Yeah.
So we have other debts apart from the car loan. You said you have personal debt. What is that for, and what's the amount on it?
For personal debt,
Yes.
$7,000.
And what's the monthly payment on that?
That person is giving me some time to get back up on my feet before I can start paying that back. And we're going to figure that out in about 5 months. We're going to revisit it, and then we're going to see where I am financially and work out how much I can afford monthly to pay down that debt.
Okay. So you have a little bit of time on that.
I do.
If you have 5-6 months to do that, how can we improve your financial situation in the next 5 to 6 months so you can start paying that debt down too? But credit cards, you don't have any credit cards right now. What happened with previous credit cards and credit card debt?
A lot of it just kind of wiped away, and some of it I just paid it off.
And how much did you have in credit card debt at the peak? Do you remember?
Oh, I want to say that was probably $12,000.
Well, I'm proud of you for not having any credit cards right now, even though you said you couldn't get approved for one right now. But if you've ever had credit card debt,
I'm glad. I'm like, thank you. Deny me.
you shouldn't even be applying.
No, I'm not. No. I should have reiterated that. I'm not even.
Should stay away from credit cards if you're ever find yourself carrying a balance, paying interest on it.
It's like someone with gluten intolerance. Stay away from wheat.
Exactly. If you have a spending problem, stay away from credit cards.
That's
right.
right.
What are your current assets you have right now? Bank accounts, retirement accounts?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay. So I see you ended August 4th with about $2,000 in your bank account. Okay, so if we have right now between your different debts, we got about $34,000. We've got $2,000 in assets, which puts your net worth at a negative $32,000. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel like I just want to walk away with my tail between my legs.
It's definitely not a fun spot to be in with a negative number, but you're still young. You've got plenty of life left in you, and that's what we want to talk about today is how do we change the script on this? Been living paycheck to paycheck for the last 20 years. How do we kind of figure out your financial future moving forward? Because right now, you're living this way till you're 65, 67. You're going to be hoping and praying that Social Security rolls around when you're 67 years old. Frankly, I don't want you to be in a position that you have to be fully dependent on Social Security. That's not a fun spot to be in because we don't know if Social Security is going to be here in 20 years.
Correct.
So that means when you start taking action and creating a plan today. So let's talk about more about your childhood and upbringing.
My mom and I had a cookie and granola business, and I was the baker. And we do not have that anymore. But that was the business that she and I had together. And then she also dabbled in some, in-home sales kind of things, like Pampered Chef, and she did a line of jewelry for a while. I did.
Did you do Mary Kay or one of those other MLMs?
Yeah, we did Mary Kay for a little bit, and then
Did you ever make any money with Mary Kay? Did she ever make money with Mary Kay?
Negatives. We walked away with a lot of laughs, though.
MLMs they sound great, they sound fancy, but you only make money when you get other people to sign up and spend money, and it's just a never-ending cycle and never a good idea because they wave the nice cars in front of your face, and then they do this and that. And the story I heard is like, I guess with Mary Kay or one of those is like, if you hit a certain threshold, then they'll essentially pay you an extra $500 or $600 a month for you to go out and lease your own Cadillac or BMW. But the issue is, if you fall below that tier, you stop getting that paycheck, but then you're still locked in that lease for however long. And that's just, it's a bad cycle. It never ends well.
It is. It's terrible. And we also, my mom did a vitamin company called Starlight, and there was a celebrity endorser for that, so everybody was all about him. And that was too much money in that and got nothing. A in-home telecommunication system thing that my mom and dad tried to do too, and then they tried to do a chocolate business. My dad also got into the restaurant business, and essentially when he got into it, he wanted to just be like the financer and then have somebody else run the restaurant, but unfortunately that didn't work out. So long story short, my dad was managing and owning a restaurant and working full-time for Tiger Airlines. The business was called Pioneer Chicken. A couple of celebrities that would come and utilize back when we had payphones to call their agents. And one of them actually happened to be Michael J. Fox. And he actually featured the restaurant in his documentary that he did on Apple TV. So I was like, yay, that was one thing that my dad did that was somewhat successful. My family went through where we were living top of the line, like staying at, great hotels, not even questioning how much to spend on clothes for me. And if I wanted a Barbie, it was in front of me before I could even say, I want that Barbie. Oh, there it is. To, okay, so it's back to school shopping. Let's go to Farm and Fleet.
So you definitely experienced a roller coaster of a ride seeing your parents get involved in some of these different businesses, some of these different MLMs, and I mean, heck, running a restaurant and working full-time while your dad was doing, that's not an easy feat, because the restaurant industry alone is doing that full-time is not an easy industry to be in. And let's talk about your current monthly expenses that you sent over. So right now, look in front of me, we have rent and home utilities. You have rent is $19.50 and home utilities about $217 a month.
Yeah.
So your total housing expenses is about $2,166. Are you, I'm assuming, living by yourself?
Other than a Bengal cat, yeah.
Your rent right now is 58% of your net take-home pay, which is not a low number by any means.
Nope.
How long have you been in this apartment for?
3 years.
3 years, okay. And have you looked at other places in the area, or to try to find cheaper stuff, or try to find roommates, or you kind of just stayed in this spot and don't want to move?
Correct.
I can see why you're living paycheck to paycheck. You have rent taking up 58% of your net take-home pay. Between your rent and your car payment, I mean, we're spending more money than we're making in a month, because we got $2,166 on home expenses, and then on the car side we have $117 for car insurance. We got $700 for the car payment. We got $300 for gas. I mean, that alone is $3,278, which is, I mean, you have $60 left over each month, and that doesn't even count for groceries. So if we count for your $400 a month in groceries, we got $3,678 in expenses, bringing in $3,300. You're operating at a deficit out the gate, and we haven't even talked about entertainment or shopping or any of the fun things in life. So my initial reaction is key areas need to change in order to figure out like a plan forward to get out of debt and not feel like you're living paycheck to paycheck forever. And the biggest line items on your expenses right now are your rent and are your car payment. And the car payment, there's not an easy way to get out of that right now, because you're upside down on that car. You have a Jeep that's worth $10,000, I'd presume, if you bought it for $12,500, and you got a $27,000 loan on it because you're upside down in your BMW. So you can't just go sell that tomorrow and be out of the car loan. Some people are in a situation where they have a $30,000 car payment, but they can sell their car for $35,000 and they can clear that debt off immediately. In this situation, you can't do that. So the two biggest things you need to get rid of or lower right now is the car payment and the rent. On the flip side is, how do you make more money? Have you looked at getting roommates or moving with other people to be able to lower that rent payment at all?
That's it. No, and I'm not in a situation where I'm open to doing that. I had an issue, that horrible roommate, and a very, very bad experience from that. So it's like, I just don't even want to go down that route. I don't want to.
I mean, that makes sense, not wanting to have a roommate, frankly. I mean, it's not a spot you necessarily want to be in. I'm just trying to throw out some different options.
That, like, yeah, but that's like,
if you could change your living situation to save $700 a month on rent, frankly, that would change your financial situation a lot quicker than not.
It's easier said than done. It's just because of my credit and everything, like, I'm better off just kind of staying here, because if I have to, run my credit again, and then it's like, it's just, it would be much more costly for me to leave and than to just stay and wait until my income increases.
How would it be more costly to leave? Obviously, I guess there'd be some moving expenses with that, but if you're saving $700 a month, that's $8,000 a year that you'd be saving. If you save $700 a month, then
it's just not something that I want to venture into at this point.
I'm just trying to throw out options, because that's your biggest line item right now, and it's.
I get it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, because
I have looked at some other things, and then you get there, and then they say, oh no, actually, and then it ends up being more than what I'm paying right now.
In order to improve your financial situation, dramatic changes are going to have to happen, and again, the two biggest line items right now are the car and the rent. So it's figuring out where you're going to give on some of those. What are you going to do to try to get out of some of the situations? So that's just something I would emphasize to explore. Obviously, I can't sit here and force you to move. I can't force you to go to a cheaper apartment or one that's not as nice amenities or whatever you might have, or as big. But from looking at your budget, looking at your financial situation, that's definitely one of the areas that that's easier to change than the car payment is.
So I understand.
So we'll keep going through the expenses. So $36.78 is what we had for total necessities right now between rent, auto and transportation, groceries, and then you have about $75 for entertainment, $25 for gifts, $12 for fitness, $150 for personal care, $200 for shopping, and $125 for pet. So that brings our total expenses to $4,265 when you're bringing a net take-home pay of $3,300. So that means we're operating in this situation at a deficit of basically $1,000. $900 and some change is kind of what you laid out in terms of your budget to how much you're bringing in. So definitely you're going to continue to feel like you're living paycheck to paycheck and waiting for that next check to come in to make the bills. Let's see if that lines up with your monthly spending that you sent over to me. Because I have your bank statement in front of me, kind of go through deposits and withdrawals. So in the month of July, we started the month of July 6th with $143 in your bank account. We had $7,171 in deposits and credits. That's higher than what you typically bring in.
The loan that came through. Yeah.
Okay. That was a loan. And then we have withdrawals, $5,374. So expenses a lot higher. So we ended the month with $1,900 in your bank account. So let's go through these and see what are some things we can not be spending money on. Costco, we have $14 at Costco. We have, it looks like laundry. I'm assuming you're going to a laundromat for laundry.
We have
those are
unit. Yeah.
Okay.
In the apartment in the complex.
We have more Costco for $16. We've got beverages and more for $28. We've got more laundry, more Costco. Target for $43. You know what you bought at Target for $43 on July 7th?
Probably mostly.
Buy groceries at Target?
Yeah, I buy groceries at Target.
So we got 3 Costco trips and a Target trip in the span of 2 days, it looks like, spending $80 on groceries. Do you cook at home much, or do you eat out a lot, or mixture of both?
Never eat out. I always cook for myself. Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. Should not be eating out right now with this debt situation and a lot of laundry on here. There's more $2 payments. Whole Foods, Costco gas, $5, $7, more laundry for $8, more Costco. You go to Costco every other day? You got Target for $13. You're going to these there's like 9 transactions for Costco and Target in the span of a week. Why don't you make a list and go once a week?
Because I always like to get out, so I don't always get everything all at once, because I don't always, it's like I take for granted the fact that I'm like, oh, well, I'll just go tomorrow if I forget anything, or if I have time, and it is part of my issue is that I have to get out. I go to Disneyland quite a bit too.
I'm all for getting out of the house, especially if you're working remotely and at home and living by yourself. But typically, I feel if you go to the grocery store 10 times in a week, you're going to spend more money going 10 times a week, because chances are you're going to be hungry one of those times, or you're going to start buying stuff that's not on your list all those different times, and it's going to kind of go a lot faster. So, my wife and I, we go once a week on Sunday, get what's on our list, and we go home. And if I went to the grocery store 3-4 times a week, I can promise you I'd spend a lot more money, because I'd see different things that'd catch my eyes. I'd see cookies or cupcakes or chocolate or whatever it might be, or and start spending more money. So that's definitely something I would suggest in regards to that. But then also you got to figure out how you can get out of the house and not go spend money. So if you're trying to get out of the house, you should be doing things that do not cost money. You should be walking to the park. It should be going towards the beach or whatever it might be. But using your escape of getting out of the house to go swipe your debit card at grocery store is not going to help you out in your long term as well. So, okay, let's see what else we have. More Sprouts. Okay, more grocery stores. You like going to all the different grocery stores, and Whole Foods. Hit every grocery store up in the week, it looks like. If you want to go shopping, go sign up for Instacart and go be an Instacart person.
Oh no, I've done that, and some of those people who place those orders, they are crazy. They want like 25 gallons of blah, 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 blah. They want this, they want that. And then if you help you God, get that wrong, you are like, you're out your tip. Like you've just wasted 4 hours of your time. So I'm done with that. Like if I do personal shopping, it's like a friend or a family member. They're like, oh, come on, but when it's that thing, it's kind of like, dude, you want this done that way, you do it yourself.
So I see on here, Peacock TV. Why are we paying for Peacock TV?
Oh my gosh, haven't you seen it? It's amazing. Oh, it's great. I watch a lot of shows on there. I don't have a streaming cable or anything like that. I don't have any just I don't know, a direct TV or whatever. Is
Peacock your only streaming service that you pay for?
No. I also have Disney Plus. I have Discovery Plus. Trust me, my mom and I have worked out the finances. It's a lot cheaper doing that than it was what we were doing before. Because we do it together. So we share. So it's not just me. So I don't pay all of those. We split the cost.
But you got Disney Plus, you got Peacock TV, you said Discovery Plus. I mean, you don't need all the pick one and be done for now. And then when you get out of debt, then okay, let's start allocating more money towards it. But you live paycheck to paycheck because you have 6 different streaming services right now.
I'm not, but here's the thing. I'm not paying for them. My mom is. We're splitting them.
I see Peacock on your thing right now.
Yes, but she puts money back in for it. Like she knows that it's under my card, but she replenishes the finances for it. Or she picks up the tab on something else for me and then we just break even with it. She pays for Netflix.
Does your mom know your current financial situation?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, she does. She's the one who does the co-signing for me. She's probably more aware of my financial situation than I am. I like to live in a land of rainbows and unicorns, so sometimes I just avoid it.
You can't do that. You can't live and ignore the reality you're living in. It's kind of like, I mean, if you don't sit down and look at what's happening every single month and where your money's going, then you're always gonna feel like you're living paycheck to paycheck. But like, you need to set up a plan. You need to have a budget because it forces you to be intentional about where your money goes, and it forces you to be intentional about what do you like spending your money on and how you spend it, and you're a lot more aware of where your money's going. But right now, it sounds like, I'm assuming, don't budget your money. You don't track your spending with any platform or Excel spreadsheets right now, if I had to guess, and you're kind of just ignoring it. And if you continue to ignore it, it's never going to change. I mean, Tom Brady didn't just wake up one day and go win a Super Bowl. I mean, he had a rigorous plan that he followed every single day in, day out. And same thing with your money. If you want to get out of debt and you want to build wealth, you're not just going to walk into winning a lottery ticket. Lottery's one, you'll never win. And two, that's just not how it works. You're not going to just, loan company's not going to call and say, hey, we forgave your car loan. We don't want our $700 a month at a 14% interest rate. And unless you decide to make a change and decide to be very intentional about your money, it's never going to change. So what's stopping you from setting up a budget and start budgeting your money every single month? Use the answer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're stopping yourself.
Me. The funny thing is that I am organized and I am very everything has its place. I'm very OCD about so many other things in my life. But when it comes to my finances, it's like the complete opposite from everything else in my life.
Change that. You have the mindset of being organized, have the capacity to do it. It's like, let's take action. I'll send you some resources and stuff to what I use for budgeting. I mean, it doesn't take but 20 minutes a week really of your time to set up and automate and just change, categorize some stuff different, better. But that way you can look back and you can look at your month of July and say, oh, I didn't know I spent $500 on food, or I spent $600 on this. I would expect it to be $400. And then you start figuring out, okay, next month I need to be a lot more aware of this. And I'm going to track this every single week. I'll check in on Sundays, see how much money I spent the previous week. And that's going to kind of dictate how much money you're going to spend that week. If you're not aware of it, you never know where your money's going. So,
well, I mean, it's like as you're going through and I'm like, ooh, I guess I didn't realize that I was doing that. So it is. And one of the things that I was doing for a period of time that was helping me, and I don't know why I stopped doing it, but it's being cash. The thing you see, whereas when you keep swiping the button, it's like you don't really always keep track of it. So I think I'll probably have to just at the beginning of the week say, okay, here's this amount of cash. Once it's gone, you're done. Like that's your extra money. You can't. Like,
you can follow what's called the envelope method, and you put aside $100 a week for an envelope for groceries, for gas, and have that dictated. And once it's gone, it's gone. And that'll help you be a lot more mindful. And you're not going to be spending that money on a left right. You're going to go to Costco and Walmart or Whole Foods. And
I don't go to Walmart. Let's make that clear. I do not like Walmart.
Sorry, Target, Sprouts, Whole Foods, Costco, you've gone, I think, 10 times in the first 10 days of the month, if not more. So you'll be a lot more mindful of that.
Yes, absolutely.
I have a lot of we got more Target, more Costco. 4 transactions in one day at those 2 different places. And Whole Foods. You went to all of them in the same day. You got Sprouts the next day, and Costco the next day, and Whole Foods the next day. I mean, you go to a different grocery store for every meal, it looks like. We got your water bill or power bill, it looks like. We got food for your cat. We got more Costco. We got more Whole Foods. We got more beverages and more, $28. We've got Tan Lines Burbank. What is that?
I got rid of that. That was a tanning membership. I do not have that.
Good. I was gonna say if you're paying a monthly fee or you're going to get spray tans or whatever it is right now, that needs to stop.
It's not necessary. No.
Sprouts for $76 on July 20th. Were you having a party?
Sprouts is I get supplements from there. So like my omega. So then if that was the case, I probably got the supplements that I get for the month. And so that was probably my probiotic, my omegas, and then my multivitamin.
How frequently do you do your laundry?
Every day.
Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, I have a bit of a OCD issue with having dirty laundry sitting in my basket overnight. I don't like it. I go swimming every day, so I usually have like towel and bathing suit in there. So
I was confused because this is not in your budget, but on the statement, there's 41 transactions for your laundry in the month of...
Yes, Wash Laundry loves me very much.
Yes, they do. So I'm going to add that into the budget as well right now. But they do like you a lot.
They really do like
because your transactions right now, there are a lot of small transactions. I mean, most of them were between $2 and $10. But I mean, there's 15 pages of transactions. And if you have 15 pages of transactions, it adds up to that $5,131, I think it was, that you spent last month. And majority of that, it looks like, is a lot of the transactions are Costco and grocery stores and this Wash. I'm trying to figure out where some of these bigger transactions are. We got more Whole Foods, more Target for $30. Sirius XM. Why do you have Sirius XM?
It's in my car. It's my radio.
Cancel it. Don't they have radio out there in California? It's $11 a month you can get back right there.
Oh, the radio out here is not very good.
What's not good? Listening to the radio or being in debt? I mean, you gotta make choices at some point. And Sirius XM is not a necessity. You can get Sirius XM when you're out of debt, but right now we have a problem where your income is lower than your expenses. And would you rather move or would you rather cut Sirius XM? Granted, I would do both, but Sirius XM is one that you can cancel tomorrow. Okay, so this is some of the bigger transactions here. Okay, we got more Costco, more Target. Again, the same day, 3 different times, $11, $12 transactions. Then we have $820 transfer. What was that for on July 31st for $820?
It was to pay for a bill. I can't remember what bill it was though, but yeah, it was to.
Is that the car loan? Because I don't see a car payment on here.
No, it wouldn't have been for that. It might have been
not good for a transaction that big.
Yeah, well, it might have, because my mom sometimes will utilize my account to transfer things over, so it might have been like a hub that she was using for something for herself.
Has she pulled $820 out of your account to pay for her own bills?
Well, it was probably because I had borrowed some money previously until I had some money come through, and that might have been what that was.
Okay.
So she was paying herself back.
Paying her back.
Yeah.
And then we have your rent payment.
Yes, I had to utilize her money for a car payment and then also for my water bill, and that's what it was. And that was the balance. That was for both of those. So that was her taking that and putting it in her account. Yeah.
Okay. And then we have, it looks like your rent on July 31st for $2,249, but I thought your rent was $1,900.
There was a previous balance from the month before.
$3,000 of the $5,100 right there, and the rest of it is, frankly, just small transactions of Costco, Target, washing. Do you have an Amazon Prime account?
My mom does. Yeah.
Surprisingly, we only have 2 transactions on here for Amazon, and it looks like you bought something and then you returned it. But I was going to say Amazon is one that gets a lot of people, and that needs to be canceled if you're paying for that. But if you're on your mom's account, just delete the login info, never log into it again. More Whole Foods for $30. We got Sprouts for $53. We got Costco for $24. I mean, you're spending more than $400 a month on groceries. I can promise you that right now. Between all these different transactions.
Well, some of the transactions at Target were going under like clothing, which is, shopping. So that's part of what that is. And then others are, like essentials, like toothpaste, milk, cereal, that kind of stuff.
If you had to guess how many times you swiped your debit card at Target, Whole Foods, Costco, and Sprouts last month, how many times did you guess?
35.
35? It looks like 71. 22 for Costco, and these are all individual transactions. We've got 27 at Target, 27 transactions. Some of those are refunds, it looks like. A few of them are. Maybe 5 of those. So we'll count it 22 at Target. We have 8 at Sprouts. We got 14 at Whole Foods. So consider some of the refunds at Target, about 65 swipes last month going to those 4 different grocery stores. Seems a little bit excessive. It sounds like we could probably cut out some of that. And by consolidating that into one trip a week, that should help you save you money because you're not going as many times and you have a plan going into it. And then you're not buying unnecessary things. But I mean, that's part of the reason. I mean, if each of those transactions are $15, some of them are $50, some of them are $70. I mean, that alone is at least $700 that you're spending a month on groceries when right now your budget's saying $400. And so that's being a one person, you should not be spending $700 a month on groceries. 65 swipes in a month is just it's not going to help you. Going that many times. Let's see what else we have on here. Whole Foods, Target for $72. We have what is a DLR monthly payment? Do you know what that is? Is that a Disney? You have a Disney subscription account? Disneyland subscription for $75 a month?
I signed up for that when I had my full-time retail position, which I no longer have. I signed up for it when I was in a financial state where I could afford to do it, and I can't get out of it. I can't cancel it. No.
You can't cancel that?
No. I've already tried. So you get cut off when they have peak season, so I can't even access the park at this point. It's like, what am I paying for? So I'm with you on that one. I am 100% there with you. And yeah, and it's ridiculous. I will not be renewing it when it comes out. I'd be like, no.
That needs to be off as quickly as possible. Okay, so $75 that needs to be coming back to you as quickly as possible. And I mean, Target for $72 on August 2nd. I'm not sure what you bought there, but you also went to Whole Foods the same day and spent $20. So eating out needs to slow down. But this is what I have a question about. Chanel, $156 on August 2nd. What are you buying at Chanel?
Nothing. That was my mom.
So your mom is spending your money.
There should be a deposit for $100 and something that came from, or a transfer from her account into there. So that I went in there and I got her stuff and then she paid me back.
Okay. I don't see the transfer. This is the second to last day of the statement. So
she did this in August. She put the money back. It was in this month. So you're probably not going to see it on that statement.
I was going to say, if you're spending $150 on yourself, then that's...
No, I'm a little... I might be a little delirious when it comes to seeing how many transactions I do at Costco and Target per month, but I'm not delirious to the point where I'm going to walk into a Chanel boutique being in the financial situation that I'm in and spending that amount of money there. No.
Good. Okay. But then we have on August 3rd, we got Whole Foods for $26. We got Costco for $38. We got Target for $42. So, that's $106, another transaction on those days. And then we got the next day. You used to do this every day, it looks like. Like I said, there's 71 transactions, but August 4th, again, you spend $30 between Costco and Target. And then how much are you, for your cat, are you going into like every week and buying stuff? There's like 6 different transactions on here for the month.
She had an issue where she was keeping me up at night, so we were getting supplements for her for that, and it was going between, okay, this isn't working, that is working. So now we're a little bit better, and she's fine on her food, so you're not going to see those as much anymore. We had a medical issue.
Some stuff, the transactions aren't big, but I was just curious because there's 6. Looking at your budget, the $5,100 that went out of your bank account, $5,300, sorry. Out of that $5,300, we had $820 your mom pulled. We had $156 you said you paid you back for. So we're still going to be sitting around $4,300 in expenses last month. We had your rent that had a little bit of back pay on it. Well, I guess that didn't include the car payment. The car payment should be added back into that because that was removed. That wasn't on this transaction list. But you're spending over $4,500 a month right now between all these different expenses. And that's not sustainable, making $3,300. And the issue is, which one I'm excited for you, you said your income should be increasing with these different opportunities and you need to be hustling in terms of finding new gigs, finding new clients, finding new opportunities. But that doesn't mean you can ignore your money now just because your income is going to be increasing. Because even if
no.
Because even if your income's increasing, if you're not intentional about your money, you're not tracking, it's going to go just as quickly as possible. It's called lifestyle creep for a reason. People go from making $50,000 to $100,000 a year and 12 months go by and they're like, I still am not making money. I'm not saving any money. It's because they're not tracking anything.
Well, and you're not changing your habits. Then you have to change your habits. It's just like coming out of a broken relationship. Unless you correct something that's within yourself, you're going to get yourself right back into that same broken relationship because there is something within yourself because you can only control and change yourself. You can't change people. And your financial situation can change, but unless you change your habits, you're going to be living paycheck to paycheck. So, I mean, I could be making $250,000 a year, and unless I change these habits, I'm still going to be living from, paycheck to paycheck.
I mean, I think it's like about 50% of Americans making over $100,000 a year say they're living paycheck to paycheck. And so it's not about your income, it's about how you spend that money. Obviously, having a higher income makes it easier to not live paycheck to paycheck, but lifestyle creep's real, and if you're not intentional, and you understand that you need to change your habits. And some of those habits are not going to the grocery store and swiping 70 times in a month. Some of those habits include figuring out a plan to increase your income more with new gigs, new opportunities. And when that money comes in, that needs to be going towards paying off this car loan as quickly as possible. That means changing habits, and instead of going to the grocery store to swipe your card for getting out of the house, you're going to find a local park that you can walk in. That means instead of consuming Netflix or Peacock TV, let's start finding free resources on the internet that can help you learn about budgeting, learn about saving money, learn about getting out of debt, and start educating yourself a little bit more. And you got to really drastically change a lot of your habits because you're spending a lot more money than you can afford right now. That's why you have a $7,000 personal loan that you had to take out from a friend this month to be able to even afford rent. And so we have a car balance of $27,000 that hasn't gone down the last few months last few years, because right now you're living paycheck to paycheck, not tracking your money. So, right now, biggest keys for you, the biggest things that you can change in the short term is tracking your spending so you can cut your grocery expenses down. You need to be really tightening your shopping budget. It should not be $200 a month. It should be $50 a month. Your pet, trying to get that down as low as possible. Obviously, get her the basic needs and medicine and stuff that she needs. Personal care, $150 should not be that high. Entertainment, really shouldn't be spending any money on entertainment right now. I mean, we got a car payment that's $700 a month. That's $18,000 underwater. Every dollar should be going towards that because you're never going to be able to breathe without getting out of that. I mean, a 14% interest rate is astronomically high for a car loan. And every single dollar you can save needs to be going towards that, because that will free up a huge portion of your budget when you can get that paid off. It's not going to be an easy road to pay off $28,000 in car loans. That's a $700 payment. I mean, you got to be throwing hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month at that to even make much traction that you can visually see with a 14% interest rate. But things have to change. Rent. I mean, again, I know you don't want to live with another person. I know you don't want to move, but that's the biggest line item right now that make a drastic change. You can get that down to $1,500. You can get it down to $1,300. I mean, that's $400 to $500 a month that can be going towards paying this car. And dramatic things need to happen. They need to happen fast, because you've been living like this for the last 20 years. And I don't want you to be living like this for the next 25 years until you start receiving Social Security. I don't want you to wake up when you're 60, 65 years old and just be carrying a car balance year over year, buying new cars and adding $1,800 or $18,000 just rolling over onto it. Wake up when you're 65 and still in this position, because Social Security is not going to cover all of this and some. I mean, we don't know if Social Security is going to be around then. The beautiful thing is you have time. You've got years and years to still enjoy life, still get out of this. And it's not like we're sitting here talking about you have $200,000 in student loans, $50,000 in credit card debt, and all this that is insurmountable. We're at $34,000 of debt. That's not great by any means, but it's not hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, which some people are in. But we do have a spending problem. We do have not being intentional about it, and we do have categories in your budget that need to be fixed. Are you familiar with the different ways to pay off debt? The avalanche method and the debt snowball? So I guess in your situation, it really doesn't matter, because we have a personal loan that's, I mean, technically, I guess you're going to have to figure that out in 5 months from now. But the avalanche method is you pay the highest interest rate loan first, no matter the balance. And so if you have a credit card payment debt that's 29% interest rate, and you have a car loan that's 5%, you'd pay the credit card off before you pay the car loan off, no matter the balance. Debt snowball is pay the lowest debt first, balance debt, and then the next one, and then kind of work your way up, start getting momentum. Granted, you only have two different debts right now between the personal loan and the car loan, and the personal loan is not making monthly payments right now. You need to be focusing fully on the car loan, and also need to figure out what are you going to do when that person asks you to start paying them back 5 months from now. Right now, I mean, my suggestions to you, I mean, what I would do if I was in your shoes is like, one, you need to get on a plane, and you need to start budgeting your money. If you're not tracking every single dollar, if you're not aware with all your expenses, I mean, you didn't know you swiped your card 71 times at all these different grocery stores last month. And if you're not aware of that, you never know where your money's going. So that's step one, is set a budget, and it needs to happen now. It doesn't need to happen when you're making more money. It needs to happen now. Number two is looking at options for your rent. I don't know when your lease is up, but $1,950 a month is a astronomical 58% of your take-home pay. And that is one of the biggest line items that you can change. So it needs to be looking at how can you lower that? Are there apartments that you're comfortable living in that are safe, that fit your needs, but they're not the ones with the sparkling gym and the sparkling pool and everything else? They're ones that you can live in comfortably and be safe, but can cut your budget down every single month in terms of that. And then besides that, every single dollar needs to be going towards this car loan. You need to be hustling. I mean, right now, obviously, you're essentially working 3 different jobs in regards to freelancing, doing the skincare stuff, and doing some acting and voiceover stuff. But how can you scale any of those? Can you find a full-time job that pays you more? Can you find a full-time job that's paying you $50,000 or $60,000 a year? I would probably go try to find one of those, frankly, instead of probably scaling 3 different ones. Continue doing these, but if you can find a full-time job paying you $60,000 a year and then do acting or do one of these on the side still so you can have additional income, that's going to make a drastic difference on your future and on getting out of this debt, because it can give you a lot more income to do with it. But right now, if you're focusing on 3 different things, it's going to be very difficult for you to scale one of these to the moon, because you're kind of splitting your efforts in 3 different areas. So trying to figure out how can you increase your income the most, and it might be looking and finding a full-time job that can pay you a higher salary. Yes, there's going to be more constraints with it. You're not going to be able to travel like you said you wanted to, working freelance. But frankly, right now, you shouldn't be traveling. And you shouldn't be doing those types of things because you are living paycheck to paycheck and you have a car loan that's a 14% interest rate. So I'd be looking at full-time jobs that you can get paying you $50,000 to $60,000+ a year. And then what are these other 3 things that you enjoy doing? Is it acting and you're making $10,000 a year? Is it the freelance stuff that you can do on the side still? And use all of that additional capital from the job and the side job to start paying off this debt. But your situation, it's not pretty right now because you have a negative net worth of $32,000, but it's also not a debt that is insurmountable because it is $32,000 or $34,000. It's not hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's not credit card debt that's at a 29% interest rate. It's a personal loan that's currently not being paid for a few more months, and it's a car loan that's not a pretty interest rate. It's at 14%, but it's not as high as a credit card debt. So I'd probably put you in the ballpark of a 2 in terms of your score from 1 to 10 right now. But your situation can improve drastically by budgeting your money, cutting unnecessary expenses, and really figuring out a plan on how to cut some of these different expenses out and increase your income with a full-time job or scaling these 3 different jobs you're working right now. So
honestly, I was not aware of how many times I was swiping my card at Target and Whole Foods. And I think that realizing that and utilizing cash opposed to doing that is going to help tremendously. I think that the income increase is going to help a lot as well. And as far as the car situation goes, yeah, I'm just going to have to focus on paying that down at this point as much as possible. So at least I can get to the point where I'm paying down the principal, not incurring any more debt. No.
Yeah. And one thing too we didn't talk about is investing. I mean, right now with a car loan at 14%, don't even think about investing right now. I mean, the average return of the S&P 500 is 10%. So, and that comes with risk. Obviously, the market goes up and down. And with a car loan at 14%, you shouldn't even think about investing. If someone tells you, hey, you can earn 20% or 15%, you need to invest money instead of paying this car loan down, don't listen to them. It's not going to return risk-free, anything like that. So make sure that you are putting every single dollar towards this. Don't worry about investing. But I mean, you should be able to get out of this. If you increase your income and you start figuring this out, it might be 24 months. It might be 18 months. It might be 30 months. It really depends on how hard you go in cutting expenses and how hard you go in terms of increasing your income. Typically, you should be able to get out of this, I would project, in under 24 months. If you really hustle and you really get after it.
Yeah.
Then when you do that, then you're going to have $700 a month not going towards a car payment. And you're going to feel a lot more free. And then you can start putting that $700 a month going towards investing. So you can start building up a retirement account and doing things like that. But right now you are limited your spending and limited to not even be able to think about investing because of this car payment and because of where your income compared to your expenses are. So what advice would you give to someone in a similar position as you?
Somebody else who's probably worse off than you. Don't let this overtake you because it's going to rob you of enjoying your life at this very moment, which you need to do. And don't, when you're spending any amount of money whatsoever, make sure that it is a logical decision and not something that is based on your emotion at that very moment. And if it's not something that was budgeted on your list, then you need to walk away from it
I fully agree. And I mean, you understand and you have the knowledge to put this in place. Now it's about actually acting it and living that out. So,
And like I said, it takes 5 seconds to do something, and then it takes 5 years sometimes to recuperate from it. So that's where I'm at right now.
yep. And I know you can do it. You have the intelligence. You said you're an organized person, and it's a matter of just putting your mind to it and sticking to the plan. So I really
Yes.
appreciate you, Elizabeth, coming on today and being open and
Thank
transparent.
you.
And hopefully this was beneficial to you to kind of figure out
Absolutely.
different items to improve and change your financial situation. If you're watching this and you learned something from Elizabeth's story, if you can relate to Elizabeth's story, or you want to help America get out of credit card debt, get out of car payments, please hit the like and subscribe button. It's the best way to help America learn about finances, talk about finances, and get out of debt. Those are not, you can't tell me those are necessities.
To me, it's so unrealistic in this moment in time. It's a survival tool. It's not really like a luxury or a perk.
You don't need 9 credit cards. This is what's causing you to feel like you live paycheck to paycheck and not be able to pay all these balances.
Take a loan against my life insurance.
Frankly, he's probably going to freak out, or he's going to say, like, you're being dumb doing this.
I'm in survival mode. I think that that's a very out of touch statement. My name's Isabel Betancourt. I'm 40 years old, and I'm calling from South Florida, Pembroke Pines, South Florida.
And Isabel, what do you do for work in Florida?
I'm just an administrative assistant at a college down here, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, regular office job.
And how long have you been doing that for?
This current position, I've been here since December of 2022.
And what did you do prior to that role?
Just bouncing around different offices, being an administrative assistant to whoever needed one, while going to school for journalism and broadcasting. That's really where I'm sort of trying to get towards. But the money situation seems to be getting in the way of my goals and stuff, because it's like I'm in survival mode state. Pursuing dreams and ambitions becomes a little bit difficult when you're just trying to get by, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And that's what I want to have a conversation about, figure out what can we do to help you improve your money situation. That's the point of this show, is to help you learn, help everyone watching this show learn, and just trying to help improve your financial situation. So I'm going to do a selfless plug. If you're watching this right now and you're like Isabel and trying to improve your financial situation, hit the like and subscribe button. It's the best way to help this channel grow. How much are you making a year doing that right now?
It's about $55K a year.
And when you jumped to that job in December, did you get a pay increase, or why did you transition jobs?
Well, this particular job I was interested in because I wanted to pursue the master's program in this same university. So I thought being an employee would offset those costs.
And what were you making at your role prior to that?
No, I took a hit. I was in my old job, I was making 60. But here I have overtime, whereas in the other one I didn't.
Okay, so you hourly based right now?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so about what's 27 and a half?
About, yeah,
Okay.
give or take.
Okay. And when you do overtime, do you get a time and a half on that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so then you're making about $40 an hour when you work overtime. How many hours would you say every month you're working?
40 hours, maybe 45.
So maybe 45 hours, an extra 5 hours overtime there.
Yes, which is, I mean, you see a little bit of a difference. It's not great, but it's enough to help me just sort of carry on from paycheck to paycheck.
I mean, an extra 5 hours a week at $40 an hour at overtime, it's $200 a week, $800 a month, obviously before taxes, but that definitely can make a difference in your take-home pay there.
Costs are so high down here that you don't really notice when you get a little bit more in your pocket.
Yeah. So how would you define your current financial situation? Scale of 1 to 10, 1 being horrific, 10 being the best situation in the world.
I would say, well, I have a roof over my head and I'm fed. So I would say yes, 4. I'll say 4.
Give yourself a 4. Okay. So you earlier said you're just trying to survive. Now we got, I guess, just surviving is about a 4, is where you rate yourself. What are your current assets you have?
No, I don't have many. I have a plan with the company New York Life where I pay quarterly, and it's a whole life policy. And there I have used that. It has given me the option to sort of take a loan against my life insurance benefit, and that has helped me along the way during certain binds that I found myself in that I needed a little bit of money immediately, and I've used that. That's been really helpful.
Let's dive into the whole life insurance policy. Who sold you on that?
It was introduced to me at first by my dad many years ago. We're immigrants. We're from Cuba. So when he, found out that there's these options available that many, third world countries don't have, he was very interested in taking advantage of it. So we took a meeting, and the guy sold us on a policy, and I said, yeah, I mean, the premium at the time was something that I was spent on nonsense. So I said, sure, let's do it.
And what's your monthly payment into that whole life insurance policy?
it's quarterly at the moment, and it's about 365.
365 quarterly. Okay. Frankly, I'm not a fan of whole life insurance policies.
A lot of people are.
Because frankly, a lot of people are not that are in the finance world. There's a guy I follow, Jeremy Schneider. His name is Personal Finance Club is what his username is on Instagram, but he did a post recently about indexed universal life insurance policy versus a normal index fund. And a lot of universal life insurance policies are like $200 a month. Yours sounds like it's about 100, I think it's 120 or so. The issue with life insurance policies, Jeremy did a post, it was 6 days ago actually, where he did a post comparing the growth of universal life insurance policy versus just a normal index fund. And the issue with universal life insurance policies is the broker who sold you on that policy gets paid commission based off of him selling you on this. So a lot of those policies are very weighted heavily towards the brokers that aren't it. So, and it's all front weighted fees as well. So majority of that is going towards these brokerage fees and policies versus going towards actual balance. You're frankly better off putting that into a index fund like a US total stock market index fund or an S&P 500 fund and using those returns to build wealth versus a universal life insurance policy. Do you have any kids?
No kids. No
kids. So what's life insurance is supposed to be had for when you have people depending on you for your income. So what a lot of people would suggest is get term life insurance policies, which are frankly a lot cheaper than universal policies as well. They are triggered when extreme circumstances happen. So if I don't have any children right now, I just got married. But if I have 3 kids, I'd have my wife. She's working too. But if I died and I was making, say, we'll call it $50,000 a year, I need to have a policy in place that will replace my income for 3 kids or whoever's dependent on me. So typically what's suggested is get a term life insurance policy that's 10 to 12 times your annual income to replace that. So you can withdraw that, put that in index funds, be able to withdraw 4% or 10% a year, 4 to 10% to allow the expenses to be replaced throughout the course of your life. And that happens. When with universal life insurance policies, those are all front weighted. They typically underperform the stock market as well. And they're typically in the favor of your broker that sells you on it. So if you called your broker right now and said, hey, I want to cancel this policy, frankly, he's probably going to freak out or he's going to say like, you're being dumb doing this because he's going to be losing a commission on that. And that's not what he wants. You're taking away income from him. Jeremy did a chart where if you invested $200 a month into a index fund versus a universal life insurance policy over the course of 40 years, at the end of 40 years in your universal life insurance policy, you'd have $320,000. And that's over the course of 40 years, $200 a month. If you put that same $200 into an index fund over the course of 40 years, it'd be just under $1.8 million. Sorry, this is just index funds. This isn't term.
Okay. Sorry.
So this is comparing a universal life insurance policy that's apparently indexed towards index funds. So that's a $1.5 million difference over the course of 40 years, which is no small amount. And then term life insurance, the point of term life insurance is you have it for a definite time period. So the goal of term life insurance is, okay, if you have children and they're born right when they're born, get a 20-year policy. And through that 20 years, you're going to be paying term life insurance. But the goal by the end of 20 years is they're going to be out of the house. They're not going to be dependent on you anymore. So you won't need term life insurance after that. You need to become self-insured during that time period by investing into retirement accounts, into brokerage accounts, and self-insuring yourself then. But you shouldn't be depending on term life insurance or whole life insurance to live. That should be only for term life insurance will only be used for extreme situations, death or things of that nature. That's one of the things I guess we'll send resources to as well. But typically, term life insurance is a much better route when you had dependents. But in your case, you don't have any dependents right now. So no one's dependent on you for your income, which means you don't necessarily need to have life insurance policies for that. And if, for example, you wanted to have a term policy in the instance that you were to pass and you wanted to make sure that whoever's taking care of your funeral arrangements, et cetera, has funds available to use for that, then you can have a small term life insurance policy in that instance as well. Does that make sense?
Yes, I don't know if the words term and whole are interchangeable or synonymous. One of the things that I did see when I was being sold this product was that there is an accumulation of funds for retirement. It's not just a life insurance policy. It is also building some sort of account or amount so that when I plan on retiring, I don't know when that will be, but I have something to fall back on aside from the Social Security benefit that whatever it is that'll be entitled to me at that time.
Yeah, so that's frankly one of the reasons people will try to sell you on it is, hey, this is an alternative vehicle towards investment. But what I was saying about Jeremy, what he posted was the difference between a whole life insurance policy versus normal index funds is that $1.5 million difference in return over the course of 40 years. So you're much better off. Insurance should never be an investment. It's called insurance for a reason. It's for extreme situations, extreme circumstances. It's not for car insurance or house insurance or whatever you want to call it. Any type of insurance is not for retirement. Same with whole life insurance. It shouldn't be used for retirement. Term life insurance should not be used for retirement. It's for extreme situations to cover you if things happen. And if they're selling you on, hey, this is going to help you build your retirement, frankly, mathematically, you're better off putting that same amount of funds into index funds and investing that for the long term in a brokerage account or in your 401k than you are into a whole life insurance policy, because the returns on it are subpar compared to normal index funds, and it's 6 to 10 times more expensive than term life insurance. So you're better off getting a term life insurance policy for 10 to 20% of the cost, and the remaining 80 to 90% that you're not putting towards this whole life insurance policy, you'd be better off investing that in index funds, and you'll be in a much better financial situation 20, 30, 40 years from now than keeping that in a whole life insurance policy.
Well, honestly, I don't really have any interest in having life insurance at all. I just want something that will accumulate my wealth now while I'm alive. I plan on having a family and everything, but right now, that's not where my focus is at. I'm not.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's what I wanted to just have a conversation. I'll send you a bunch of resources too about whole life insurance versus term life insurance, whole life insurance versus index funds. And that's kind of what I want to talk about and we'll talk about a lot of investing is like, if you're trying to build up for retirement, let's not build that in a whole life insurance policy route, which is a lot of it is commission based towards those brokers. Let's build it into index funds that you own 100% free and clear. There's minimal expense ratios. If you're in like a Vanguard fund, there's higher returns and that money is yours. So I like that route a lot better than a whole life insurance policy. Frankly, I have this argument with friends. I had this argument with family about whole life insurance versus term life insurance, but mathematically, you're a lot better off getting a term life insurance policy that's 6 to 10 times cheaper and also investing the difference into index funds.
But do I need a term at all?
Right now, I mean, that's completely up to your own discretion if you want term life insurance or not. If you don't have dependents or people who depend on your income, then it's not necessarily needed. Once you have a family and you have people who depend on your income, then yes, term life insurance is definitely needed. But at this current state, if like, for example, if, one of my friends, he's a single guy, 27 years old, and has no dependents, I would not suggest for him to have a term life insurance policy currently because he has no partner, has no children, and there's not a need for term life insurance. The second he gets married, the second that he has children, yeah, term life insurance policies is definitely needed in that instance.
Yeah, there was something that I learned about a few years ago, these guaranteed income annuity policies that it's also just another vehicle for wealth building, supposedly, based on what I was told. My knowledge is limited on this subject, but you start off with like a $5,000 deposit and it grows at a high interest rate. If you had,
you know what the rate was that they were selling you on, like what it was growing at?
No, none at the time. It was just a very superficial conversation.
Yes. So typically, even annuity plans, those are ones that are high commission based as well. And frankly, majority of people, everyone has the ability and same access to buying index funds, whether you're going to buy an S&P 500 index fund or you're going to buy a total U.S. stock market or international fund or a small cap or high growth one. And everyone has the ability and access to sign up on a Vanguard or Charles Schwab or another brokerage account and buy those. Annuity plans, same thing, kind of towards whole life insurance. A lot of those are kind of towards the brokers, a lot of commissions, and you're better off, have higher returns and likelihood of success, building wealth, putting into normal index funds. Are you familiar with index funds are?
I know that they fit with the stock market, which is something that I don't really feel too comfortable with. But I know that's where the growth is. Like I don't want to call it gambling, but it is risky. I mean, I don't know. There's like that. I know that there's companies that have like a very high cost for shares, but that they're stable. You know, Amazon isn't going anywhere anytime soon. For example, Coca-Cola. But those are companies that shares are too expensive for someone like myself.
Yeah. So index. So if you wanted to buy a Coca-Cola or an Amazon stock, that's called you're buying a single stock, and you're buying one stock of one company. An index fund is essentially a portfolio of hundreds or dozens of companies that you own bits and pieces of it. So, for example, the S&P 500 is a top 500 companies in the United States, weighted by market cap, and that changes in and out different companies every single year. But right now, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, are some of the top companies in there. But if you buy an S&P 500 index fund, you own bits and pieces of 500 different companies in the United States stock market. So instead of putting, say, $5,000 into Coca-Cola and say 40 years from now, Coca-Cola doesn't exist, your money goes from $5,000 to eventually zero if they don't exist. If you put $5,000 in the S&P 500, 40 years from now, if the S&P 500 goes to zero, that means there's not a single company in the United States anymore because you own bits and pieces of 500 different companies. So if one of those 500 companies files for bankruptcy, guess what? You still own 499 other companies in that small pot.
They're like little bundles of S&P 500 companies, little bits and pieces that, if they were to ever all disappear, we'd be in a worse position than in the Great Depression.
Yeah, we got bigger problems to worry about if the S&P 500 and the total stock market disintegrates.
Mm-hmm.
So typically that's really, in my opinion, the best way for people to build wealth is putting it in index funds. You're not going to sit here and try to, frankly, no one's going to outperform the stock market. If you're trying to sit here and day trade and invest in companies to try to beat the S&P 500, try to beat the total world stock market, any of those, the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones, it's going to be very unlikely if you don't do that full time, you don't work on Wall Street, you don't have the ins and outs of the industry. Even then, there's so many things outside your control. Warren Buffett, one of the best, if not the best investor of all time, literally suggests that 99% of people are better off putting their money into S&P 500 index funds than ever trying to buy and sell single stocks because there's so much risk outside your control. You might think, oh, Carvana is the latest and greatest stock, and you bought it at the top of 2021 when the tech stocks are rising, then ended up going down 98%. Now I think it's up crazy again this year, but there's so much volatility with single stocks versus if you invest into a portfolio of an index fund that has a portfolio of 500 or 1,000 or however many different companies in it, you own bits and pieces of everything. So it kind of averages out. And yes, you're going to have companies in it that are losers. You're going to have some that are big winners in there, but it helps de-risk you as well. If you're investing solely in single stocks, it definitely is kind of like gambling because you don't know if Coca-Cola or Delta or Apple, for crying out loud, will be here in 40 years. If I had to guess, Apple is going to be here in 40 years because they have such a monopoly on the tech industry with computers and iPhones. But you also don't know what's going to come about in the next 40 years. 40 years ago, Facebook wasn't here. Neither was Twitter. Neither was Uber. Neither was Airbnb. All these large companies. But also you have companies like this past week, a trucking company named Yellow. It went under after being around for 99 years.
I heard about that. Yeah. They laid off like thousands of people.
Yeah. So if you have all your money into single stocks, you don't know when that time is going to come. You don't know if that company is going to last 99 years. You don't know if it's going to last 50 years. You don't know if it's going to last 10 years. And it is a inherent risk at that point if you're investing solely in single stocks because you can't predict the future. You can't predict what the CEOs are going to do or what they're not going to do or what economic challenges companies are going to face. So index funds are frankly the best way to invest, and it's something that's accessible to anyone. You open up a brokerage account on Vanguard, Charles Schwab, any of these types of platforms, and you can go and buy a fraction of an index fund on Robinhood or Charles Schwab. You can buy a fraction of them. You can buy a whole index fund, and there's different ways to do that. So instead of auto investing, there's a platform called Acorns out there, which I've used a lot. My wife has used a lot, and that puts it and allocates it into different index funds between large cap, international, small cap, emerging markets, and it has already diversified portfolios for you, and you can decide between conservative side to aggressive side. So index funds, yes, there is inherent risk with it. Like last year, the stock market was down 20%. So if you invest in this stock market at the beginning of 2022 and held through end of the year, you've been down 20%. But if you had continued to hold this year, we're up over 20% or about 20%. So there's inherent risk with it, but it's a lot lower when you're investing in a basket of stocks, own bits and pieces of hundreds of different companies versus putting all your money in one basket. So does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
But let's talk about current debts. What are your current debts you have?
I have some credit card debt, and the big chunk of debt of mine is the student loan.
Are you aware that they are resuming in October?
Yes, I am. I've already looked into it and seen what are the payment plans that I can adhere to so that I'm not, essentially upside down in my income, where it's all my money is going to the student loan interest than it is to the actual premium.
Do you know what your minimum payment on the student loans is?
Last time I checked, it was going to be about like $284.
And do you know what your interest rate is?
I have several loans.
Do you know what the range of those are?
I don't know. 17, maybe.
17%?
At one point, I don't know. The statements that I see online, they have like a bunch of little loans that have added up to my total amount. and I see a lot of figures and percentages that I don't know which one applies to the interest, which one is, what is exactly adding to my, it's a little bit more complicated. Like,
So student loans, $174,000 worth of loans. How long have you had these for?
well, I graduated in my 20s. So,
Okay, so 18 years.
but yeah. Mhm.
What was the total loan amount when you graduated?
Honest talk, in my 20s, I was not paying attention to these things. I can't even tell you what my initial balance was when I graduated.
I'm assuming these have grown because they've grown from, was it like 100,000 or was it like 120 grew to 174 or was it like 150 grew to 174? Do you have any knowledge of that?
No. And it's one of my biggest regrets.
Okay. So actually I do have your student loans here. I see now 3.4 to 7-ish% in terms of student loans are what they currently are. Okay. So your outstanding principal was 163,000 and 10,700 is the interest that has accrued so far. So it's gone up. Your balance has gone up $10,000 since you've taken these out. I'm just looking at right now, it says minimum payment is 0 because they're on forbearance. So your first due date is October 12th for these.
Yeah.
But it's not showing. Oh, wow. So these must have been on 30-year payments because you have 267 payments remaining, which is another 22 years at this rate. Still probably $800, $900 a month in interest alone that will accrue on these once they start happening. We'll dive into the credit cards. Credit card balance is $6,000 between those and the student loans is $174. So I want to talk about the credit cards right now. So credit cards, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different credit cards.
Yes, but I have cleared about half of those since we last spoke. So
good. Okay. So you're paying these off.
Yeah, those I feel I have under control. I have 9 credit cards, but not all of them have balance. Thank God.
The ones you've paid off, have you canceled them?
No.
Why not?
Because what if I need them? They're the only, like, if God forbid something were to happen to my car and I need $2,000, like that's what I would use.
You don't need 9 credit cards.
I don't want. I mean, you never know.
No, I do know you don't need 9 credit cards. I mean, that's part of the reason you've got debt is, credit cards make their money off of people who carry balances. They charge 28% interest rates on it. And that's where they make their money. And
but I have no balances on let me see. Let me off the top of my head.
$6,000 in credit card debt, you said.
On 4 cards only. So the other 6, 7, they're not getting any money from me. They're at 0, honestly.
Then cancel them.
Why? What? If I have them open, does that affect my credit in any way, shape, or form?
No, but it gives you the opportunity to spend money on them that you can't afford. Right now, you said you're struggling to make ends meet, and if you leave those credit cards open and something comes up or whatever, you're going to start swiping them, and you're going to find yourself in a hole. You got $6,000 of credit card debt right now.
But how do I get myself out of the hole otherwise?
Not use credit cards. Use a debit card. Only use the money that you have in your bank account.
Oh, please. That's not realistic at all. A lot of people don't have that like a $2,500 emergency, right? On a car or whatever, which is not at all high. Or let's even say $900 on whatever, 4 new tires. Like, that would be a credit card expense. I don't have an $800 in liquid asset right now in my pocket, like the debit, that I could swipe my debit card and resolve my problem. You know what I mean? Like,
you don't have that money because you're accumulating credit card debt and all your money, spending things on you can't afford. That then goes to the credit cards, and you have to go to pay off these credit cards.
Well, I had a situation where my air conditioner broke, and it was like a $1,700 repair because everything was I just let the problem. I couldn't take care of the problem when it first started. So by the time that the AC officially conked out, like the cost was major to fix. That was a credit card. Let's these are not credit cards that the $6,000 are not, shopping sprees at Macy's or Victoria's Secret. You know what I mean? There have been oil changes, and they've been groceries, and they've been a light bill that I've had to pay because I don't have the money. My paycheck is still a little ways off, and I can't, and I need to pay it. You know what I mean? It's a survival tool. It's not really like a luxury or a perk.
Well, let's talk about ways to not be dependent on credit cards, because majority of people in this world should not have credit cards, because credit cards will destroy your financial future when it comes to 29% interest rates. I mean, one of these credit cards alone this year to date, you've paid $366 in interest towards the credit card company. And
yeah, that's a little bit of a point of contention for me, because I think that that's a very out of touch statement. In my world, around the people that I associate with, and everybody that I have a rapport with, that I could talk about this with everything as expensive as it is, and salaries not really increasing much, if at all, to say we shouldn't, like, to say don't depend on credit cards is to me is so unrealistic in this moment in time. It is very, very, very just out of touch with reality and with what a lot of people are going through. Credit cards right now are a life raft for many of us, for many people. And I know that I'm not authorized to speak for anyone besides myself, but I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to say that a lot of us are living on credit cards to offset our costs.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm all here for pushing back and have conversations. That's what the point of this call is. But the issue is, if you have credit cards at your disposal and you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're never going to find yourself in a spot where you can't depend on credit cards, because you continue to depend on credit cards. Do you know who Dave Ramsey is? Dave Ramsey, I'll send you his information too. He has a course called Financial Peace University, and he's helped millions of Americans get out of debt and stay out of debt. And he has what's called his baby steps. And baby step number 1 is save $1,000 emergency fund, which a lot of people say that is not enough of an emergency fund in case something happens. But his point is guess what? $1,000 is never supposed to be enough, but it's gonna light a fire under your butt to get out of debt. Because if you only have $1,000 in your bank account, then you're gonna have to scramble. If you have a $1,500 purchase, you're gonna have to sell things in your house. You're gonna have to pick up another job. You're gonna have to do things to be able to cover that emergency, which I frankly think in his instance, it's a great route to have, because it lights a fire in people's butts with that. And then he also teaches don't use credit cards. We're going to dive into the credit card expenses, but first I want to dive into kind of living expenses we have right now. So what are your monthly housing expenses right now?
Okay, I live with a relative, so the mortgage and the association fees are on my family member. I pay the utilities, I pay the internet, the Wi-Fi service, I pay for the cell phones, I pay for I don't know if you're bundling in like the mandatory car insurance that I have to have by law. There's something else that I pay. There's another utility that I pay that I can't remember.
How much a month, I guess, towards housing, including all those things, since they're paying for the mortgage and you're paying for these things? How much a month?
For me, my responsibility would be about $750-ish, like that. Yep. My light bill has been a little bit higher. Down here in Florida, we've had a very crazy heat wave, and I guess it's just taking a toll on the AC. It's been a little bit higher in the summer months, but that's kind of typical.
$750 housing, okay. And then car, we got $167 for car insurance, about $156 for gas, but no car payment, correct?
No car payment, no.
Okay, great. Keep it that way. Don't get a car payment. And then groceries, you have $120 on groceries. Sound about right? Okay. So between housing, car, and groceries, those are what I would define as your necessities. We're at $1,200 in total expenses there. And you're bringing home about $3,000 a month take home?
About, yeah.
Okay. So $3,000 take home in your paycheck. You got $1,200 going towards housing expenses, living expenses, total necessities. Does not cover credit card loans or student loans, but $1,200 there. So that's great. $1,200 there. That means you got $1,800 left over. Then we got subscriptions. I seen you put $800 or $182 in subscriptions for stuff like Netflix, Spotify, $182 there. We have eating out, $700 a month you spend eating out.
I have a catering thing that they not like a catering, like the food prep thing where they bring the meals to the house.
DoorDash?
You know, like no. It's like the meal, the boxes of meals that you get like a week
or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. But it's a local smaller company that is nearby. It's not a big one like HelloFresh or.
So you pay $700 a month for that?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
You think? I don't know. I found more that were I found others that were more expensive.
We'll kind of continue to go through here. We got personal care, $200. We got shopping, $400 a month. Pet, you put $1,200. Was that for a one-time vet transaction?
Yeah, that's a one-time emergency that I had with one of my animals.
What's your typical expenses then on your pet? Is it typically like $100 a month, $200 a month, not including emergencies?
No, I would say it's under a month.
Yeah.
I would say it's a little over 100. It's not a big hit to my wallet.
We'll put 150 there. So we'll call that total fund money. So that's about $1,650 we have right there between the subscriptions, eating out, personal care, shopping, pet. So you're at $2,850 right now between necessities and fund money. I can definitely see living paycheck to paycheck because some of these expenses, life's expensive, but so I can definitely see how you feel that way. Let's kind of dive into some of these transactions then. Because I want to touch on the credit cards, kind of why I think, one, you should cancel the credit cards because they're going to cause you to spend more money than you can afford. And two, just to kind of dive into some of the interest. I dove into some of these statements to see how much you spend in interest, and you've essentially paid over $1,000 this year towards interest to these credit cards for carrying a balance on it, which is not a small number at all. That's $1,000 that you paid to them just for carrying a balance. But I want to dive into some of these different transactions to see what are some of the things on here that we could potentially not spend money on, and figure out, okay, if you do move to a debit card. And one of the things, George Campbell, he's part of the Dave Ramsey crew, I saw him talk about recently was a lot of people with same as you, they're terrified that they don't have a credit card, they won't be able to afford things. And so what he suggests is take your credit card, put it in a Ziploc bag, and put it in the freezer. Put it in the freezer for 90 days and only use a debit card during those 90 days. If it's in the freezer, you don't use it for 90 days, you'll start feeling comfortable not having a credit card. And in your instance, when you're paying $1,000 a year towards interest and we're only 7 months through the year, that's a lot of money that adds up. That's $2,000 a year that you're paying to the credit card that should be in your pocket if you're using a debit card. And also, when you swipe a credit card, you think, oh, I can pay that off because I won't have to pay the bill for 40 days or whatever it might be, or 45 days. And you start swiping it, and then 45 days comes up, and an emergency comes up like your AC unit or some of that, and you're not able to pay that balance off in full. So debit card, psychologically, you'll spend less money because you have to check your bank account on what you can spend.
Yes, I can. It's to me, it's like it's an idea that's very nice on paper, but in reality, it's quite different.
It is, but also to fix your current financial situation, drastic measures have to happen. And doing the same thing, depending on credit cards, spending money on credit cards, you're going to find yourself in the same hole for the next 12 months, the next 10 years, next 20 years, unless you make drastic changes. So this is just I guess, an idea to consider and think about. And it can change the course of your life if you do that too. If you figure out, hey, I can only live on credit cards, I'll block them away, put them in the freezer. First, you don't need 9. I can tell you that right now. You don't need 9 credit cards. That causes your finance to be very complex. You have to have like 9 different logins. You don't know where anything's going. You start swiping on one card and you're like, oh, the balance is low there, I can swipe on this one. And then you don't keep track of the other ones. 9 is not needed. If you want to have 1 or 2 and put those 2 in the freezer, do it. But 9, very necessary.
But when I saw the podcast opportunity, I was like, let me just, submit. And then you reached out. And then when I was gathering my documents, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this because your financial statements across credit cards, debits, whatever it is, your bills, it's a very personal thing.
Yep.
You can tell a lot from a person by their expenses and stuff. And it's like, there's certain things that it's like, I remember feeling hesitant. I did it anyway, because obviously I'm here speaking to you today. But I was like, this is the nice bit. This is none of their business. You know what I mean? If I choose to spend this on that, you know what I mean? I don't feel like that I want to share that, but I did. I went against the grain. I got out of my comfort zone and I did, knowing that growth and change doesn't always feel good.
Yep.
So in addition to prepping for my conversation with you today, I have a plan to wipe out the credit cards by the end of the year. That's my goal. A lot of my leftover funds, when I pay my bills, my monthly essentials, I use to pay big chunks of amounts on those 4 credit cards so that I can get them out of my to-do list, cross them out. And then at that point, I'll see which ones I want to keep. I'm obviously going to keep the ones with the less interest rates and those that have like cash back rewards where whatever I spend, they give me some money. I use that towards the balance on some of them. So those are the 9 that I'm going to like.
Can we talk about cashback rewards real quick though? Because if you're keeping credit cards for cashback rewards, but you've paid over $1,000 in interest to the credit card companies alone, you're essentially paying the credit cards to get 2% cash back right now. Because
I know, but whatever, that some of them don't give you anything. So between one that does and the one that doesn't, I'm going to keep the one that does. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and
the interest rate on them is the primary determinant. The the primary way to determine which ones I'm keeping and which ones I'm not.
Yeah, most interest rates will be 25 to 29%, so they're all pretty high rates. But I mean, first, I do appreciate your courage coming on the show. I mean, it definitely puts people out of their comfort zone. It takes a lot, and I respect you for doing that and coming on here. And my goal is for you to walk away from this with learnings, with resources, with ideas, whether it's going to put stuff away in the freezer so you don't use those credit cards, or, hey, let's talk about the whole life insurance policy. I just want to help you learn, help provide resources, and to everyone watching, because you're not the only person in this situation with a credit card debt, with student loans, with whole life insurance policies, and there's people watching this as well that are in the same exact situation as you. I mean, America has trillions of dollars of credit card debt, trillions of dollars of student loans, so you're definitely not alone in this battle, and my goal is to just help the world learn more about money and think about decisions that you can do to change your life and change your family tree and change your family's tree moving forward by taking small little steps, or, hey, here are some different ideas to look at, or, hey, let's look at some expenses of what you can track. I want to dive into, we're talking about the credit cards. Amazon cards, the first one we're going to dive into. Amazon credit cards are the epitome of non-necessity cards, because that gets you spending money with Amazon, and Amazon will get a lot of people. Right now, it looks like in this statement, we spent $443 on Amazon, and I can't say $443 on Amazon is a necessity. So I want to dive into, we got an Amazon transaction for $28. We have Amazon for $90. You bought laundry detergent for $90, it looks like. We have...
It's just one laundry detergent, Bailey. It's laundry detergent, it's softener, it's the dryer sheets. It's like a little bundle.
We got to be going the cheapest stuff possible and buying it at Walmart or something near you, not online where it's going to cost you more money.
Oh, please. It's not even cheaper in person. You think laundry detergent is high down here. Like everything is high. Everything is high. McDonald's hash brown is nearly at $5 right now. Not that I bought it, but I'm just saying.
$443 of Amazon. We got another $140 on June 30th. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 transactions for Amazon in the course of June for $443. You can't tell me there's at least 100 or 200 that was non-necessities.
All right. Yeah, I admit. I might have gotten a little seduced, you know what I mean, by free shipping.
So, frankly, I mean, this happened to me. True story. When my wife and I moved in our house, Amazon Prime is so easy to spend money. I had the Amazon Prime app on my phone, and one click thing got the best of me. I was ordering stuff every single day. I mean, our front porch was just Amazon boxes. And I looked at our budget after the month, and I was like, this is insane. Why am I doing this? So I deleted the Amazon app off my phone. And by just deleting the Amazon app off my phone, my spending on Amazon went from probably 30 packages a month down to like 2. And that cut my online shopping down drastically. And it's taking a little bit.
One thing that I wanna just interject you for a moment, because it's a very important, I think, in my opinion, I think it's important to say, you were talking about how earlier, if you just depend on your debit card, it kind of shifts your mind frame and you technically spend less because you become a little bit more alert and hyper aware of what you got to work with as far as dollars and cents, right? So it's a psychological, mental adjustment.
Yes.
One of the things that I think falls under that same category is, for me, this is only my personal testimony here that I'm giving, is I feel sometimes a little bit despaired about my life. You know, like I haven't been able to take a vacation in about 2 years, and there are certain things that I kind of have to work on personally, because I can tell you in all honesty, in all sincerity, like when I'm shopping, it's like I don't do anything really that's leisurely or pleasant outside of like shopping. So it's like, if this is a $32 dress that I would have paid twice as much at a department store, I go through this inner dialogue where I'm like, forget it. I don't do anything. I'm going to get at least a dress that's going to make me happy in the moment. So it's like that psychological state of being broke and depressed that sort of also works against me.
It definitely works.
It's not just about what you make. It's not just math. There's an emotional component involved.
And I understand a lot of people use shopping as an outlet for stress relief, for things of that nature. But the issue is that's putting you further steps back. So that $32 dress or whatever these $440 worth of Amazon transactions are, if that was you laying in your bed at night scrolling, just wanting to shop because it just makes you forget about stuff, that's putting you $443 further into debt that could be going towards paying off these other credit cards.
Yeah,
And
it's definitely an impulsive click. I have to give it to you. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And that's just putting you in a situation that you're going to continue to feel stressed with money, continue to feel that you have these payments you can't pay off. That's over 10 hours of work that you got to go work just to get those purchases back. And that's not even accounting for taxes. So really, it's probably 20 hours you got to go work. And so by making those actions, you're putting the short-term benefit of your life first versus the long-term. In the long term, you will feel a lot better being debt-free, not having credit card debt, being able to save, having an emergency fund in your bank account. But right now, your actions are speaking to the short-term satisfaction of, we have 2 sets of new heels, it looks like, on here. We have some other things that I would deem as not necessities, and out of that $400. And so you're putting your short-term satisfaction versus, hey, let's get out of debt. And long-term, I guarantee clearing this credit card debt up, the $6,000, yes, the student loans is a lot. That's not going to happen in the next 12 months. The credit card debt can happen in the next 6 to 12 months easily. If you sit down and create a budget. I'm assuming right now you're not budgeting your money. You don't sit down and use a budgeting platform or Excel sheets to see how much you spend every single month, do you?
No, it's I get my paycheck and I have my planner, and I have on my planner I look at the monthly setup on a notebook. Like, I don't have anything on the computer. I prefer pen and paper.
Yeah, so that issue is if you're not tracking every single expenses, you probably didn't know you spent $443 last month on Amazon. And
my system is not that.
Yeah, so I'll send you some resources too to kind of learn ways to do it. But you're gonna find things that you didn't know you spent so much money on, and if you can knock out $200 here, $200 there, $200 there, that's $600 a month that can be going towards paying this credit card debt off, and it won't be added to the balance of the credit cards, and you'll be able to get out of debt a lot quicker. But if you're not tracking your money, it's gonna be very difficult for you to get out of debt because, frankly, it's not going to magically disappear. The credit card companies want their money, and it's not just going to evaporate. And if you continue to spend without knowing where your money's going, it's going to cause more issues. Like on the next card, looking at the Amex card, we got Dunkin' Donuts, DoorDash. So we got $218 worth of eating out at Dunkin' Donuts and DoorDash over the course of June. Those are not, you can't tell me those are necessities.
No, they're not necessities. I don't. Breakfast and dinner.
You can't tell me those are necessities. We'll go to the city card. Okay, we got Cool Air, which was the AC, $158. But then we got DoorDash, $22. DoorDash, $10. DoorDash, $73. DoorDash, $32. DoorDash. I mean, there is $733 or $769 worth of transactions. $150 of that is the Cool Air. So we have $660 worth of DoorDash alone in the course of June, plus the other $200. That's $800 in DoorDash right there. Why are you buying DoorDash? This is what's causing you to feel like you live paycheck to paycheck and not be able to pay all these balances.
Because I know. I have to make a lot of changes. Granted, I am not denying that. It's a fatigue thing where it's like after a whole day of work, it's like I'm coming home and I'm like, so what are we doing for dinner? Well, I'm getting home late. What time are you coming home? You know, like I'm coordinating with my family, and I'm like, forget it. I'll just order from DoorDash and I'll kill it for the night.
I understand that. And that's DoorDash is one of those things that's where people, I mean, shopping and eating out are the two things people turn to. And the issue with that is, I mean, spending $800 on DoorDash alone in a month is a lot of money.
Working as much as you can and just dealing with life in the moment as far as how it's going. Right now here in Florida, there's lots of things that are raising costs. You know, the heat wave, FP&L went up, a bunch of stuff, right? So, you know, to get up earlier, I'm already tired as is, you know, from the mental state and the grind. You know, to get up earlier to make myself a breakfast, it's something that right now feels like climbing Mount Rushmore. To come home and start cooking at like 6 p.m. after I battled the whole day and traffic and the heat and whatever errands I have to rush and run at the end of the day after work, you know, to come and get in the kitchen to cook, you know, for 2 or 4 people, however many are going to be eating at home that night. You know, it's something where it's just so daunting at the moment for me.
And I understand that. I mean, there's a lot of things happening in life, in your life across the world. And like, the issue is if you don't take care of yourself financially, it's just going to continue to cause more stress. You're going to feel like you're living paycheck to paycheck, which causes more stress. And if you don't and there's ways to do it. There's ways to do that. You can be drastic as can be, and you cancel DoorDash, cancel Amazon, cut up all these credit cards today. Or there's ways that you can, which frankly is the route I would personally go, because to make big change in your life, you have to be dramatic and have to make drastic changes. Or there's a route of, hey, you're going to set goals of the next 3 months to cut your eating out bill from $800 down to $0 in the next 8 months. So $300 a month or whatever it might be. But that way, if you go that route, you're going to find yourself continue to do DoorDash, continue to do this. You're going to hit your monthly cap and then be like, oh, the next day, oh, I'm tired. There's choices in life. And obviously there's the hard choice of making decisions that cutting out eating out, cutting out shopping on Amazon, and that's going to help better your financial future. Is that going to stress you out probably a little bit more in the moment with having to cook more, having to clean more, not being able to have that relaxation of shopping online? Yes, it's going to cause stress or more issues there. But in the short term of getting out of credit card debt, which that might be for 6 months to do that, you have to stop that. And then you can set yourself on a budget where you don't have credit card debt. You can probably allocate towards eating out, allocate towards these different things. But right now with $180,000 in debt between the student loans and the credit card debt, there's no reason to be eating out. There's not. That's just going to continue to put you in a cycle where you can't breathe. And that's not what I want for you. I want you to be in a spot 6 months from now where you have no credit card debt. And now we're starting thinking about how do we attack these student loans and start paying these off so you're debt free one day and you can start saving and investing for the long term. But right now with the credit card debt, with the student loans, it's going to be very difficult to be able to do that. And your decisions are the hard route of the next 6 to 8 months. I would put it at 6 months. I think you can do it. Is going to be hard, not shopping, not eating out. But after that, you're going to feel a lot more free and not having overwhelming credit card debt. And after those 6 months, you're going to be able to save up a little bit of an emergency fund, and you're not going to need a credit card to depend on. And then you're going to start paying off these student loans. You got $174,000 in student loans. That's going to take a couple years probably to pay off. Your other option is continue to live paycheck to paycheck, continue to spend money on these things, and you're going to feel like you're in this position for the rest of your life. And that's not what I want you to be in.
I agree. Yeah, that definitely. I hear what you're saying. It's a time to just buckle down and just make some sacrifices. A short-term discomfort for long-term comfort.
Exactly. I mean, delete the Amazon account off your or Prime off your phone right now. Delete DoorDash off your phone right now. Cut up these credit cards. I mean, I'm on another credit card right now, and we have eating out for $67. We have DoorDash for $20, Jimmy John's for $8, Dunkin' for another $5. We have Joanna Style Cooper. What is that for $135?
That was my hair. I dyed my hair, and I did.
You got $6,000 with the credit card, then you spend $135 getting your hair cut.
Come on, man, give me a break.
I'm being honest. Those are not. Yes, I want you to look good. I want you to feel good. But again, you're putting short-term things in front of your financial future and financial stability. So I'm going to call you out on those things. I mean, that's $285 again of non-necessity. So you got that plus the DoorDash. That's over $1,000 right there. And then the Amazon, that's another $400. We're at like $1,200, $1,400 of non-necessities the last month, and we haven't even finished. We're on credit card number 3 right now. I mean, we had the Shell one, which you spend $132 on it. This is all gas. Okay, so we're not putting other things on there. We've got a Walmart card. We put $293 worth of transactions. So we got 4 Walmart trips totaling $292. I'm not sure what all those were. They range from $22, $56, $175 to $38. So I'm assuming there's some food in there, or is it shopping?
It's food, it's shampoo, it's deodorant, it's toiletries, toilet paper, like things that people.
Those are things for the entire house.
Yes, of course. I live with family. I don't live by myself. So what you're looking at is stuff for multiple people. Between 3 and 4, because my brother doesn't stay with us always.
Yep. So obviously there's necessities with that kind of stuff. So those are necessities. Victoria's Secret card. You do not spend anything on this balance, but so I would cancel that credit card. I mean, I would cancel all of them. But that one definitely don't need. So like going through this, and then we have the credit card, this other credit card, the Bank of America one. You paid $43 last month on it in interest. It has an $1,800 balance. Purchases on here. We got Hulu for $35. Cancel. How many subscriptions do you have? You said you have $182 worth of subscriptions. What are those?
Oh, because Amazon Prime is yearly. It's $120 for the year.
Mm-hmm.
But I added it because it is an expense. Hulu, Netflix.
Cancel it after this call. She doesn't want to cancel it.
I will. I'm gonna listen to everything that you're saying, and I'm gonna make some tough decisions when we get off the call.
Good.
Good. Yeah, I am gonna cancel some credit cards. I'm just so scared that like something's gonna happen to the car or the AC or the washing machine or something, and I need to like solve a problem right then and there. But in the meantime, I do get a little I could get a little plant or stuff from like Home Depot or whatever.
No, you can't go get a little plant from Home Depot. That's what I'm saying. What George Campbell taught is put your credit, keep 2 credit cards, put them in a Ziploc bag, put them in the freezer, and do not touch them. All other of the 9, cancel them, and keep them in the freezer for 90 days. I can promise you can go the next 90 days without using them and using a debit card only. I can promise you can do that.
Then he's already got to put those suckers in the microwave and now fucking swipe.
Just do not.
Just kidding. I'm kidding.
We've got Hulu. We've got, I don't know what the Doral Center is for $91. What is that?
What is it?
Doral Center?
Doral Center. That's the vet.
Okay, vet. Okay.
That's like I mean, I don't know how far you want me to explain. I have an elderly cat. She needs special food, whatever.
Okay. So we got McDonald's again. We got Jimmy John's. We got Dunkin'. I mean, we got more things on here that, again, non-necessities. Hulu. So I mean, there's another $100 probably non-necessities. Obviously, you have to pay for the vet, stuff like that. Gas on here, I see. Do you need Sun Pass, or is that just the toll roads in Florida, or is that or do you have a special lane?
No. That's just a toll from my commute. I have to take the highway. I live in. What state are you in?
I'm in Georgia.
You're in Georgia. Okay, here I'm in South Florida. You could take the back roads, or you could commute on highways. If you're gonna commute on the highway to get to where you want to go faster, you have to go through tolls. It's just
okay.
And I have like a sensor stuck on my window that automatically replenishes when I'm below a certain amount.
So you need if you're getting to work. Okay, let's dive into the debit card now, because we started the month with $48 and ended the month with $1.66 in your bank account on July 12th. And let's find some things on here that we can not spend money on that would help you to start growing that bank account balance that can start going towards credit cards. Frankly, what I'd do in your situation is I'd follow Dave Ramsey's steps and plans for paying off debt. He's phenomenal with that. But right now, in the debit card transactions, we have a Klarna payment for $7.15. We have a Klarna payment for $21.45. So you're financing clothes or financing things with Klarna right now, the buy now, pay later. So that's another $28. We've got Dunkin', we got McDonald's, we got Dunkin', we got Jimmy John's, we got Dunkin', we got Dunkin', we got Wendy's, we got Dunkin', we got Wendy's, we've got Dunkin' again, we've got more Dunkin', we got Outback, we got more DoorDash, we got more DoorDash, we got more DoorDash. So
my goodness, shit. I should have said.
And obviously we got a phone bill for $50 on here. We got Walgreens, which I'm not sure what that was, but if we keep get rid of the T-Mobile and the Walgreens, say those necessities, that's another $300 in eating out that was spent last month as well. So we got the total eating out like $1,500, and that's no small amount of money. And we got more. Oh my goodness, we got more DoorDash on here. We got DoorDash through PayPal. I mean, this is.
How far back are you going?
I'm on June 16th right now.
So you're going from June to July, or you're doing all of June, all of July?
All the statements I have are just through June. I think some of them go into like July 5th or something. But majority of them, this statement goes to July 12th, but I'm right now at June, just like the other credit cards, those are at the beginning of June. This is June 15th. June 16th, we have DoorDash. We've got Capital One payment, so you're paying some stuff off. We got Geico for insurance. We got more DoorDash, $27 on July 3rd. I mean, we got 6 more DoorDash transactions to start the month of July. You got another payment towards your credit card. 2 more transactions on July 6th for DoorDash for $38 and $10. I mean, DoorDash needs to go. I'm going to be frank. DoorDash needs to go. Amazon needs to go. Yes, right now, I can definitely see and understand, like, right now you feel like you're living paycheck to paycheck. A lot of it's overwhelming, and that's why, like, I'll send you some resources. You need to be using and budgeting your money, setting a plan every single month and telling your money where it needs to go. Or like, hey, I have an allocation for $500 a month in food. You should be eating bulk chicken, bulk beef, bulk whatever from the grocery store and eating that, meal prepping it, whatever you need to do. If you put yourself in a situation where you're hungry, you're tired, it's 8 o'clock at night, you haven't eaten, yeah, you're going to be ordering DoorDash. But if you make a plan, if you have it bought in advance, you're going to eat it or you're going to make it. So what you need to do is planning your money out first. And right now, I mean, this budget you sent me, we put $720 to DoorDash, but that should really be $1,500. We have subscriptions at $182. We have personal care and shopping at $200, $400. I mean, these things need to be going down to the minimum viable living option right now, which is not $400 a month on Amazon. It's not $1,500 a month on DoorDash. But if you get these down to your grocery bill goes up to $500 a month, and your eating out goes down to $0, and your shopping goes down to $100. I mean, you're going to have over $1,000 left over at the end of each month to put towards paying off this credit card. But if you continue to spend money, keep these subscriptions open, continue to DoorDash, then it's going to be very difficult to get out of the cycle and be able to pay off this debt because all your money is going out and all these fees to the credit card companies, to the DoorDash companies. And it's going to find you in a vicious cycle. But you can't get there unless you start budgeting your money, start tracking every single dollar. So there's a platform I use called mint.com, and you hook up all your credit cards, and I'll send this to you over as well. But you hook up everything to it, which in your instance, you should only be hooking up your bank account because you're going to cancel all these credit cards and put them in the freezer, except for 2 of them. And you're going to be able to track your spending, and you're going to be, okay, it's August 15th. Let's see what I spent this month so far. Okay, great. I'm coming in under on my shopping budget. I'm coming in under my food budget. Maybe I can buy beef this week instead of steak if it's more expensive, whatever it might be. But you're making sure that you're keeping track of that. And if you're mindful of where your money's going and how much you're spending, you're going to make different decisions. You probably didn't know that you spent $1,500 at least last month eating out. That's over half your paycheck on food. That is not a small amount. And 90% of that is on DoorDash. So you got to track your money first and foremost. And then 2, you got to start making those hard decisions of canceling the DoorDash, canceling the Amazon, and just refusing to spend money on non-necessity things. Otherwise, you're going to continue to find yourself in a situation where it's going to continue to snowball. You're feeling bleak about your financial future is what you said to me. And that's because you're not tracking your money and you're not being intentional about it. You're being, again, we talked about it, the short-term satisfaction of shopping, of DoorDash, of eating out, is inhibiting you from building a financial future that you're excited about. And until you make those drastic decisions to start paying off this debt and start living below your means, it's going to be impossible for you to feel excited and positive about your financial future until you start making these changes.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And this convenience of like, the delivery and stuff has to go. And it's
Right.
what's sort of like overwhelming me at the moment, because I'm thinking ahead, like, okay, so now it's Saturday. Monday would be the where the temptation to order would kick in, because Saturday and Sunday, are my days off. It's easier to just hang around the house and eat here. But Monday through Friday, when I get phone calls from my family or whatever, like, what are we doing for dinner? That's where I crack. That's where my knees buckle. I'm like, I've got to tell them, I don't know, bro, fry an egg or something, because I order.
And you gotta, I mean, if you need to have a conversation with the family too, and be like, hey, I'm in a financial spot. I can't be afford to be eating out and door dashing. Like, this is costing my financial future and stability, and I want to make a change. And they shouldn't shun you for that. If you're trying to better yourself, better your financial future, they should be supportive of it. And they should understand that. So you just have a conversation like, hey, we want to start making a plan. You can say, hey, I realized I spent $1,500 last month on eating out, and that's frankly absurd and it's scaring me for my financial future. Let's make a plan on Saturday for what our meals are going to be every single day this coming week. And let's go grocery shopping on Sunday and split that with your family member, whatever situation you figure out. But let's have spaghetti and meatballs on Monday for dinner. Let's have tacos on Tuesday. Let's have chicken and pasta on Wednesday. Let's have chicken and rice on Thursday. Let's have frozen pizza on Friday, and build out your plan and go grocery shopping once, go on Sunday. And that's the rest of shopping. You have your entire Monday to Sunday built out with groceries. And then when you get home from the grocery store, make them simple meals. You don't need to be building up something that takes an hour to cook, whatever. Let's find simple meals. Chicken and rice, or chicken and pasta can take 10, 15, 20 minutes to cook on the stove. Don't be doing things that are an hour long that is very intensive. I mean, when I make pasta and chicken, I have 2 pans, put chicken in one, put the water in the other, and that's all I use. And a plate, obviously. But start figuring out easy meals that you can make that don't take a lot of ingredients, that don't take a lot of time and energy of meal prepping, cutting up onions or cutting up peppers, whatever it might be. But it's the basics of a jar of sauce, chicken, and a rice or a pasta, whatever it might be, and use that. But if you plan your meals in advance and you go to the grocery store once, then when you come home Monday night, you already have that meal in your notes app that, okay, this is what I'm having for dinner. That's what me and my wife do. I mean, if we get hungry, ready for dinner at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, great. We have the meal already in our notes app. Okay, this is what we're making for dinner tonight.
And in your home, it's just you and your wife? You're at your home?
Yeah, it's just me and my wife. And so we cook. Obviously, it's 2 people. It's not, you have more people when you live in your house right now. But I found that if you have a plan of, what you're going to eat. So when they call you at 7 o'clock and say, hey, you're on your way from home from work, what's for dinner tonight? It's spaghetti and meatballs tonight. It's this. It's already in the fridge. And that way there's not a temptation of, hey, let's eat out. You already have a plan in place and you're putting that in advance, versus when you're hungry and you're heading home and you're like, I don't know what to do. Everyone acts different when they're hungry. I do. I get hangry. I get hangry completely. If I go to Publix when I'm hungry, I'm buying so much more stuff than I need to. And
yeah,
if I know that if I have a plan for dinner, then I'm not going to go and eat out and order food because I know I've already bought $10 worth of chicken or $10 worth of beef that I need to eat at home. So I'm not going to do that. So as long as you're making a plan in place prior, then that's going to help with your eating out budget. Same thing with your money. If you make a plan that, hey, I have $100 a month to spend on shopping, you're not going to go buy a new dress, new whatever, when you only have $100 in shopping and you don't know what's going to happen next week. Or, you have an event coming up at the end of this month that you need to spend money on. So it's all about planning in advance. So you're not irrational in the moment and deciding, oh, let's swipe this credit card or let's purchase it on Amazon or let's order this on DoorDash.
Realizing that it's a whole life change. It's not just cutting up a credit card or putting $10 in a piggy bank. There's a lot more that goes into it. And I'm just like how intertwined with psychology it is because, like what is it that prevents me from going above and beyond and doing just a little bit more effort? Where is this like fatigue or this lack of motivation coming from? And it's basically everything that's kind of popping up in my mind as I'm listening and we're talking and everything. Like where's the source of all of this? Like how did I get here so that I don't repeat the same thing all over again?
Yeah, it's a lot of psychology. It's a lot of fear too, because it's a lot of fear of change. And anything in life, when there's change, it's you push back on the change. But as you said, you put yourself on this podcast to step out of your comfort zone to learn. And I commend you for that. And I'm going to commend you too a month from now, 2 months from now, when you tell me, hey, I started sticking to a budget, I stopped eating out, I've cut these credit cards. It's going to be a dramatic shift. It's going to be a change in your life. But I can promise you 6 months from now, when you have no credit card debt, you're going to feel a million times better. You will have to start figuring out your plans for student loans and paying those back. Those are a little bit lower interest rates, 3 to 7%, still high where you want to start paying those off. But you're going to be in a better spot then when you have no credit card debt. Start figuring out what is your plan to pay these student loans off. But right now, credit card debt is the first and foremost priority. Still need to be making the minimum payments on the student loans because that interest is going to start accruing quickly at those. But I would like you to figure out how do you pay off this credit card debt by the end of this year. I think you can do it. And then we got to start figuring out a plan for these student loans because student loan payments are coming due in October. And you got to be making sure that you're paying over the interest rate or the interest accrued on those. Otherwise, that balance is going to continue to get bigger. And it's going to be a vicious cycle of feel like those are never going anywhere. So, right now your plan needs to be, let's cut up these credit cards. If you want the security of having to, put them in the freezer, lock them away. And then we need to get on a budget, hard and fast budget. Stop shopping on Amazon, stop door dashing, start meal prepping, or at least planning meals out for the week, going grocery shopping once, and get your spending under control so that we can pay out this credit card debt as quickly as possible. And then you got to start making a plan for when student loan payments resume in October and start figuring out a plan. Okay, what is your plan and path to be paying out these loans over the next 2 years, 3 years, whatever it might be? It's obviously a lot of money, $174,000.
Bailey, thank you so much for this. I really do appreciate it. And I just thank you for taking time to dissect my expenses and everything, giving me some guidance and whatever it is that you send me, I welcome it. Thank you.
If you're in credit card debt or student loan debt, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so we can educate America more on their finances. I don't care what they have. You don't have a job right now. You shouldn't be getting coffee.
Because I'm doing horrible. I'm embarrassed, to be honest. I need something quick. I don't even remember the last time I paid for it. Due to unfortunate circumstances, I am unemployed right now.
You're spending all that money when you don't have a job. Where's all this money on unemployment the last 5 months?
Honestly forgot about it until a couple of months ago when I tried to take out a credit card. I had a 401k. That completely wiped away.
Did you pull money out of that?
Of course. Well, my name is Michaela Wood. I'm 27 years old and I'm calling in from New York City, Staten Island.
What do you do for work up in New York?
I'm a background actress. I do a lot of acting in films, TV shows, commercials.
And how long have you been doing that for?
For the past 6 years.
And how much you make a year in the acting world?
About maybe like 5,000. I have other gigs as well. It's not always just acting. Since
5,000 a month, 5,000 a year.
No, about a year.
You're only making $5,000 a year.
Yes.
How are you surviving up in New York City on that?
Oh wow, I'm embarrassed now. So I live with my parents still, and I also work at Amazon, and then I also work at clubs as well.
Okay, so you're not just acting $5,000 a year, you have other jobs and sources of income.
Yes, but unfortunately, due to unfortunate circumstances, I am unemployed right now. So I do collect unemployment checks as well.
What happened with being unemployed if you're working at Amazon?
I got fired a few months ago.
Did you deserve it? What'd you do?
My rates were low. You had to meet a certain quota, and I wasn't I wasn't making the quota. So after I got a few write-ups, they gave me the boot.
And how long ago did this happen?
This happened in April of this year.
And so what have you been doing the last 5 months?
I've been doing acting work, but since the SAG union has been going on, the union strike, it's been slow. So mainly my main source of income is the unemployment checks.
Okay, so what would you say you made last year on a gross annual basis across acting, across Amazon, across all your sources of income?
Last year, maybe like 32,000, which isn't a lot.
Better than 5,000, what I thought initially it just was. So
No, yeah.
right now, how much are your unemployment checks?
Oh, this is embarrassing. They're $330, but that's before taxes. So if you were to take out the taxes, it would be like $292
Per week?
Yes, that's per week.
So you're getting about just under $1,200 a month from unemployment. And how much are you getting a month right now from acting gigs?
It's $1,300. It's a little over $1,300 with the unemployment. I haven't been doing that in a few months. So basically the unemployment is like the main source of income.
So the last few months, you've just been collecting unemployment, haven't been doing really anything else?
Yeah.
Have you been applying to jobs?
Yes, I've been applying to a lot of like music jobs or anything with music because I am a musician. So that's like my next field or my next chapter in life is trying to go is to do something with music.
Let's talk about your current financial situation. On a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate yourself? 1 being horrific, 10 being best financial situation in the world.
A 0. Can we add in a 0?
And why would you put yourself at a 0?
Because I'm doing horrible. I'm embarrassed, to be honest, like being 27 and the fact that I had so many jobs last year and then now this year, like I'm not booked and busy. It's just a huge transition in my life. I'm normally hustling or trying to get money. And now that my income is mainly down to just government checks from unemployment, it's a huge change.
First step of fixing a problem is identifying you have a problem. You've already identified in the last few minutes that, hey, you're a 0 on the scale of 1 to 10. So you're not even on the scale. So let's figure out how do we get you to a better spot? And that's why I started the show, because I want to help America learn about money, talk about money. Depending on government assistance is not a sustainable way to live.
Right, because the unemployment is going to be over next month. So it's like, I need something quick.
Yeah. So you got a timeline. I was going to say, you've been on unemployment for 5 months now, and it's about 6 months, I think unemployment goes for typically.
Yeah, and that 6 month is going to be in October. So that's
okay. So let's talk about current debts. What debts do you have right now?
I have my Discover bill. That was my main credit card. I'm like $1,500 in debt, maybe a little bit less. And then my student loans, which my dad took out a loan to help pay for this loan because we had a joint agreement on the Sally Mae student loan. And then I wasn't paying it on time. So that's another financial burden. And so then he said, this isn't going. So he took out a loan since he had really good credit. And then I pay him $150 a month to help pay for the loan, his personal loan that he took out to pay for the student loan. So
okay. And on the credit card right now, the balance is $1,500
in debt, like I owe.
Yeah. So you have $1,500 balance on that. And you told me before the show that the card is no longer has access to it, so you just are paying monthly on it.
We have to call Discover and ask, like, okay, how can I start paying this off? Because I have to get my credit up to leave my parents' house.
Okay, so you haven't been paying on that at all recently.
I don't even remember the last time I paid for it, to be honest.
Months? Are we talking 12 months?
I want to say at least a good year.
And what did that debt come from, $1,500?
Well, since I'm an artist, I invest my money into a lot of things like studio time and music videos and lessons and instrumental beats, I should say. So that costs a lot of money. And then to promote myself online, that costs money. So I was so focused on that I didn't even think of like, okay, you have to pay for this credit card. Once they canceled it, I just honestly forgot about it until a couple of months ago when I tried to take out a credit card because I looked at my credit score and it dropped significantly.
Can you imagine if you haven't paid on a credit card in 12 months? That probably destroys the credit score.
Yeah, so it dropped, and then I said, "Oh my God, I have to get a credit card that's actually working since this one is inactive."
Can I give you a piece of advice?
Yes.
Don't open a credit card anytime soon, because if you open a credit card, put a $1,500 balance on it, and have forgotten about it, you're gonna do the exact same thing.
But I'm not using any credit. That's the thing. Like, you have to use credit. Like, that was one of the main reasons that it dropped significantly. It's not even just the payments. It was the fact that I'm not using credit anymore.
It dropped because you opened a credit card, you maxed it out, and you haven't paid on it in 12 months. And having a credit card, yes, if you have a huge credit limit and you pay it on time every single month, it increases your credit score. But if you're in a cycle where you're on unemployment right now and you can't even pay your bills, you can't even pay this $1,500 off, you're just going to open another credit card. That balance is going to increase. You're going to get behind on payments, and your credit scores is going to hurt from that. One of the issues I think in America right now is people overemphasize their credit scores. And yes, it matters if you're getting a mortgage and it helps your interest rate a little bit. They typically check your credit if you're going to go rent an apartment and they don't want to have someone with a 500 credit score living there because they won't trust you paying the bills on time. But a lot of people focus on credit scores in America and be like, oh, I need to get a new credit card. I need to do this. But then they end up finding themselves in more credit card debt because like, oh, I need a new credit card to get my credit score up to 700 or up to 750. And then guess what? They do something like you did where you swipe the credit card, you forget about it, and then you fall behind on payments and it ends up hurting them. And
Right.
if you ever pay interest on credit cards, you shouldn't have a credit card because no rewards, no credit score, whatever is worth, one, your mental sanity of being in debt, and two, no reward is worth having 28% interest rates on credit cards. So what you need to do right now, and we'll talk about this further, is like you need to figure out your current financial situation. Do not have a credit card right now. Continue to live just with a debit card, paying cash for things. And then once you can figure out your financial situation in the future, maybe then look at credit cards. But right now, opening up a credit card when you have this debt and you can't even pay your own bills, you don't even have a job, it's just going to hurt you because you're going to start swiping and you're like, oh, I have a $1,000 limit or I have a $2,000 limit. You're going to start swiping, be like, oh, I'll figure this out. I'll pay it off in 45 days. And then you're going to find yourself with another credit card that has a balance you're not paying off every single month. So please just don't open a credit card right now. Don't worry about that. What you need to worry about is paying off this current credit card and getting a job so that one day maybe you can look at getting a credit card. But if you get a new credit card right now, it's just going to, I can promise you 5 months from now, you're going to be carrying a balance on that and you're going to be spending money on it that you don't need to be spending.
Right. That's true.
We had that Discover card, $1,500. Student loans, what is the total balance of that?
The student loans, you mean like how much I owe or how much I took out?
How much did you take out originally, and then what is the total balance right now?
How much I took out was about $8,000, and I think I have like maybe a few hundred left to pay off.
Okay, so that's not very much. That's good.
Thank God.
Because I saw you put in the budget $700.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just making sure that wasn't a typo because obviously, I mean, student loans are flying right now. People have $1.5 trillion or $1.7 trillion worth of student loans out there right now. And payments are resuming a couple of days from now in October.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just making sure that wasn't a larger balance. But that's definitely attainable and easy. I mean, $1,500 in debt, $100, $700 on the student loans. That's something you can get out of by the end of this year.
I went to a community college, so that's why like my student loans aren't extremely high.
And let's talk about current assets. What assets do we have right now?
Nothing, to be honest. Like, it's not like I own anything.
Do we have any investments? Do we have any cash in our bank account?
You mean like a savings? No.
Nothing in your savings?
No. I know, it's so bad.
You're living at home. Where's all this money on unemployment the last 5 months?
I'm investing into my career, so it's like I maxed out everything. No, when I used to work at Amazon, I had a 401k. That completely wiped away.
Do you pull money out of that?
Of course. I maxed.
We can't do that.
I know.
It's called a 401k for retirement. It's not called a 401k to pull money out in your 20s.
I'm going to get taxed for it next year. And for the unemployment as well. Yeah.
You're killing me right now. How much was in your 401k?
It was a few thousand.
So you drained a couple $1,000s from that, completely wiped it out. And you're going to hit with penalties for that next year for early withdrawal and taxes on it. Because was it pre-tax $2?
That's a good question. I don't even know. Probably was.
Yeah. Probably what? Majority of 401ks, I mean, there are Roth 401ks too, but majority of people contribute to their traditional. So I presume that you're going to be paying income taxes on that money plus the 10% early withdrawal penalties. So that's going to be a hefty bill coming your way.
Yeah.
How much is in your savings account right now?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
Nada.
I can see why you're putting yourself at zero now, because we're at a negative $2,000 net worth. I'm gonna be honest, it's not the worst I've seen or talked to. So
Really?
$2,000. I mean, you get a full-time job, you still living at home. You should be able to pay this off in under a month. The last 5 months, you're living at home right now, so it looks like your living expenses are pretty minimal. You're paying your parents $450 a month in rent, it looks like. You have $7 of subscriptions. You said $150 for eating out, $50 for entertainment, health and fitness, $10, shopping $100, travel $60. That is $827 in expenses. Where's the rest of the money going? Because you said on unemployment, you're bringing in about $1,300 a month right now.
Right. So, I mean, like, that would be more on average. If I do have extra money, I spend it on my music. So, like, that goes to the studio time. That'll go to promoting it. That goes to the videographer. It's expensive following your dream. Comes with a core.
It is, but you also have to take care of yourself financially before you can follow a dream, because then you're just going to find yourself in a further hole. Because right now you're prioritizing your music, which I want you to chase your passions. I want everyone to chase their passions, but I want them to do it financially responsibly. And right now, by saying, hey, I'm going to go spend $500 or $1,000 on this music stuff versus, hey, I'm going to pay out this Discover card, you're prioritizing and investing in your future of your music career, but also you're trading off peace of mind and getting out of debt so that you can start allocating money towards that. So if you get out of debt and you have a full-time job, then, hey, let's start saving $300 or $400 a month and put this towards your dream, towards your ambitions, towards your passions. But right now, you're in a spot where you don't have a job, you're living off unemployment, but then you're putting all the money into your dreams and aspirations when you don't even have your personal stuff kind of figured out, personal finances, because the music, videography stuff, I mean, that's all obviously career-oriented, that's investing in the future, but that's not, you got to take care of yourself first, and then the business side of it, you got to take care of second. If you don't take care of yourself first, the business side's going to hurt too, because it's going to limit you on how much money you can budget towards those things. It's going to limit your sanity because you can't go and rent a place. You can't, because you have a credit card you haven't paid in 12 months. You can't afford to really do much when you have these payments and when there's debt overloading you. So you really need to prioritize. And it's not, like I said, it's not much that $2,200. You shouldn't have this debt over the last 5 months that you've been living at home.
Mm-hmm.
How much money have you spent on your music career over the last 5 months, would you say?
Oh gosh, that was a lot. That was like 1,000.
So this debt could have been paid off by now.
Yeah. Wait. Oh yeah.
You're spending all that money when you don't have a job.
I know.
That's the worst part.
I know. I was just focused on that. I wasn't even thinking about myself. I was just, because I've been doing this for years now, so it's like I just cared about that and making sure that was, because that's my baby. So I feel like I have to take care of my baby before I did myself. But yeah.
And I get that, but you have to take care of yourself first. And right now, you're not taking care of yourself doing that. You're taking care of the dream, but that dream is putting you further behind. And spent thousands of dollars doing that. That could have been paid off a while ago.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's talk about jobs. So you said last year you had a bunch of different jobs.
Yes.
And this year, not many. What's happened there?
I used to work in clubs, but then I stopped because the environment was a little bit too frisky. The acting gigs, I was getting booked and busy like every week or every other week. I was getting jobs with that. And then Amazon, that was flex. So that means that I got to pick up different shifts. It wasn't a regular 9-to-5 schedule. It was more, if you pick up a shift, then you could come in and work on your own accountability. So Amazon stopped at the beginning of this year when you got fired. How many jobs have you applied to since April? A lot, but they were mainly music jobs or like entertainment industry jobs. They weren't regular 9-to-5s.
How many would you say? Estimate.
You mean like a regular music 9-to-5 job?
Yeah, like have you applied to 10 jobs? Have you applied to 1,000?
Okay, not 1,000, probably like a couple of hundred. But that's included acting gigs as well. Like a gig versus a 9-to-5.
Okay, yeah. How many consistent paychecks, whether it's Amazon Flex, it sees a consistent pay because it's daily, hourly gigs versus a project for acting, it might be a one-time day rate. How many consistent at least 20 plus hours a week jobs have you applied to?
Maybe like 50, 60.
Okay. Well, I guess so. That's only 10 a month, which.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like the first 2 months of me, maybe even going into 3 months, I was enjoying my free time. Like I'm not trying to glorify being on unemployment. I'm not saying that, but once I had more free time, and especially since last year I was working so hard, and then now it just stopped. I was like, oh wait, hold up. But then I realized that my checks weren't that much, so it was limited on how much I could do. So, but I was just, I was being lazy. I'm going to be honest.
At least you're honest about it. You need to get back on the hustle with applying to stuff. And I saw a post on LinkedIn the other day that someone applied to 430 something jobs in the span of a month, and they got like 20 interviews and they got 2 offers out of that. So it kind of shows the scale that, hey, applying to 20 jobs, applying to 30 jobs, even applying to 50 jobs is not enough. You got to be applying to hundreds of jobs because it's a competitive landscape out there. It's a competitive market. There's a lot of people looking for opportunities for jobs. Mm-hmm. And if you kind of pick and choose and say, I want to work at this company, it's going to be very difficult for you to do that because there's so much competition, so much people looking for jobs out there, especially when you got strikes going on in the acting world. People are trying to find jobs in other careers, and industries. So definitely need to be applying and trying to find as many opportunities as you can there. And also then when you do get a job, you got to really hustle and set yourself straight. So, hey, I'm not going to get fired again for underperforming. I need to make sure I'm holding these benchmarks. Because right now, you need a paycheck. You got unemployment ending in a couple weeks from now. And once that's done, you better be hustling the next 4 weeks so you can get a job before then. Because otherwise, you're not going to have any money to spend on anything.
Right. Yeah, 100% right.
So let's go ahead and look at this monthly spending. I know you sent over a few different transactions on here. So we'll start in August. Living on unemployment, we're going to get coffee still for $8 in the morning.
Wait, which one was that? Glory Jeans?
Glory Jeans Coffee on August 23rd.
Oh, they have this good iced matcha latte, which is way better than Dunkin'.
I don't care what they have. You don't have a job right now. You shouldn't be getting coffee.
I know, but still, it tastes good. And it helps me like stay full and feel healthy.
Is that coffee worth staying in debt?
Yeah, because it tastes good.
Do you want to get out of debt?
Yes, I do. Eventually,
you're only at $2,000. You can have this paid off by the end of this year easily. It's not eventually. Just like the TV thing, you have to speak it into existence. You can't say eventually. You have to put timelines on it. If you put a timeline on it, hey, I'm going to get this paid off by the end of this year, and you write that goal down, you'll be a lot more likely to hit that goal than, hey, I want to get out of debt eventually. And then guess what? 12 months from now, you're going to find yourself still in debt because you didn't hold yourself accountable. You didn't write a goal down on a timeline that's actually quantifiable.
Right, that's true. Yeah.
CVS Pharmacy, $77. What are you buying at CVS for $77?
What day was that?
August 23rd, just after Glory Jeans.
Oh, that was for my dad's birthday. I took out money for that. I had to get him something.
Does your dad want a gift or does he want to spend quality time with you? Because if I had to guess, he'd rather quality time when you're living on unemployment and don't have a job.
That's true. He's not too picky with his gifts, but still.
Nice handwritten card and you could make him dinner. Or
I keep card, so that's a negative.
Okay, then you could go for a walk in the park with your dad. But
boring.
Spending $80 on him for his birthday when you're not going to be able to afford rent next month for him, he's not going to like that.
That's true.
Then we got a Lyft for $16. Why are you taking a Lyft right now on August 24th?
Okay, I don't really have a car. Well, I don't have a car, but I didn't feel like taking.
You work at the subway.
No, I don't live near a subway. I live near a bus, or it's either a bus or a cab near me.
Okay, buses. Buses are cheap and easy to get around the city on. And again, living on unemployment, you can't afford to go and spend $16 on a Lyft.
Why did I take a Lyft? I was probably feeling lazy.
And then we got IHOP on September 2nd for $15.
Okay, so they had pancakes. Yeah, I remember that. I love their pancakes. I'm a huge IHOP fan.
And then you went Empire East that same day for $31.
My mom wanted 5 egg rolls, and she paid me my money back. So technically, it was more like $15. So I got some of my money back with that.
Okay, so we got $15 Empire East, and we got $15 IHOP, but still $30 eating out on a single day. That should not be happening when you don't have a job, and just should not be happening.
Yeah.
Stop and Shop, we got $7. So getting snacks or something there. More Gloria jeans for $7 on September 18th. We got pizza for $15 on September 18th. Gloria jeans again for $8 on the 18th. So you went to Gloria jeans twice in the same day?
Oh, yeah. That matcha latte is everything.
You can't do that.
I know, you're right. It just tastes so good.
See, you said you wanted to have debt, but this isn't proving to me that you even thought about even want to try to get out of debt, because you're prioritizing 2 cups of coffee in one day that are $8 each. An $8 cup of coffee, that's ridiculous.
It's a latte. It's not a coffee.
I don't care what it is. And then we got pizza for $15. And then we got Stop and Shop again for $22.
Okay, that's groceries.
Planet Fitness, all for health. So you got to have that. Then we get all the way to, you go to Empire East again, spend $8, and you get your bank account balance down to $11.03 because you've decided to spend $400 over the course of the previous week or two on eating out, your dad's birthday, lifts, coffee. Get down to $11.03. And then that unemployment check hits for $330. But again, that's not even account for taxes. So you're spending your tax money right now too.
It's bad out here.
Going to Target for $5. That's the last of the transactions I have. But I mean, right now, one, you're not tracking your spending because you probably don't even know how much money. I don't even want to know how much money you spent on Gloria jeans in the last 5 months. I promise you it's more than I want to know. Eating out too. You're not tracking your money. So you're not going to know where it's going to go. It's going to disappear. You're going to find yourself, unless you start budgeting, unless you start tracking your expenses, you're going to find yourself in a spot. It looks like you've been doing this for the last 5 months as you get down to probably $10 and the next unemployment check hits, and then it replenishes back up to $300 something, and then it depletes again before the next one hits. Is that how you've been living for the last 5 months? And you haven't wanted to change or haven't started figuring out how to get out of that?
No, I mean, I have. I've been telling myself, okay, like, 1, don't ever get fired. That's number 1. 2, pay off the credit card. 3, this music thing really needs to take off soon because you're drowning in debt. And, well, I don't want to say drowning, but, you have a lot of things to pay for. And, next year I also do want to leave the nest. So that's something that I'm going to have to find a way to get myself out of this hole, because when these realtors look at my credit history and they see that, okay, she doesn't pay her bill on time, they're going to deny me. So, like, that's something that I have to work on. And I've been taking some mental notes. But now, like, at least I acknowledge it's a problem, but now I have to put that problem into action. So
yeah, you have to educate yourself, have to put in action, putting yourself on a budget, and have to start hustling to find jobs. I know you want to pursue the music stuff. I know you want to, that's your passion, your dreams, but maybe right now for the season of life, hey, let's put investing money into that on hold. And if you can do stuff yourself with just your time, do that. But if you're spending $100 a month on that versus paying your debt off, then it's just going to continue to be an endless cycle. And it's like, okay, if you pause your music stuff for the next 3 months, don't spend any more money on that. Get a job, continue to hustle, start applying to 50 jobs a week that are normal 9 to 5 hourly paid jobs. Go become a server at a restaurant down the street, whatever it might be, and start paying this debt off while you're still living at home, while you have low overhead. Then you can be out of this debt in the next couple months. And then, okay, great. When January comes around, you're debt free. You have a stable job, hopefully making at least $3,000 a month, if not more, and take-home pay. Let's start figuring out, okay, I need to start saving money for retirement in an account that I'm not going to withdraw early from, like a 401k. Something, if you're going to put in a 401k or a Roth IRA, you promise that you will not withdraw from it early again. Start saving money for just an emergency fund. Start figuring out what is your plan for moving out on your own and getting a place of your own. But right now, by prioritizing the music stuff, it's just prohibiting you from getting out of debt, which is going to limit you from ever moving out of the house because your credit score is in the trash right now because you haven't paid on this credit card in over a year.
Right. That's true.
So, and again, I'm not saying, hey, pause the music career, don't ever do it ever again, but it's okay for this season of life. Can I slow this down? Can I stop this for now for the next 3 months, get out of debt, and then I can start figuring out what is my budget that I can allocate towards this passion, towards this music career every single month that I'm comfortable with once I'm debt free, once I know I have enough money to move out on my own and I've educated myself about money, I've started budgeting my money, then let's start figuring out, okay, how much money can I allocate in my paycheck towards this passion project.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like any passion. You have to make sure that you're debt-free and doing it smartly. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in a new hole. And I hope your music career takes off. I hope that you make a lot of money from it. But what if 5 years from now it hasn't taken off? And maybe it's year 7 or 8 that it does take off. And if you start continuing to pile hundreds of dollars a month into it and just compounding that debt over time, it's going to get ugly and you're going to find yourself in a worse spot. So it's like you got to get yourself financially under control and then start allocating money towards that.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
So what are some financial mistakes you've made in the past and that you've learned from?
I definitely feel like going to college. I don't think I should have went. I feel like I should have just pursued my dreams at a younger age where I didn't have all these financial responsibilities. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I don't feel like college is for everyone. And I feel like I wasted my money on that, especially knowing that it wouldn't put me in debt with the like taking out loans. And I don't know, it just wasn't, I don't think that was the right path for me, to be honest.
Everyone has their different takes or opinions on college. And I was fortunate. I didn't have any student loans. My parents paid for my education. And I also had in-state tuition and had scholarships on top of that for academic scholarships. But I'm fortunate and thankful for college because I think I learned a lot and grew up a lot during college. And I didn't need to go to college. I had a business I started in high school and I could have just done that instead of going to college. But I think as just a human being, as an adult, I grew up a lot going to college and just learning. But also on the flip side, I don't think if you are going to college and you want to spend $50,000 or $40,000 a year to go to a university that you're going to get a journalism degree that you're going to be making $40,000 a year after college and you have $160,000 in student loans. I think that's a horrendous idea to do. So I think there's a happy medium with college is figuring out how can you go to an in-state school with a lot of scholarships and pursue something that is going to pay well and would want you to, if people are going to college and have to take out student loans, how can you cash flow that? How can you go get jobs while you're in college and start trying to pay for some of this stuff? What grants can you get? I had friends that applied to a lot of different grants throughout college and got thousands of dollars worth of grant money for the academics, for different things that they applied to. And frankly, just had to apply, and it wasn't the easiest thing to get, but I had plenty of friends that applied to a lot of different grants, applied to a lot of different scholarships every single year to figure out how can they help pay for college and hustle that way. So have you ever made a risky investment?
Yeah, with this music thing, like I was telling myself this like the past few months, definitely once I got unemployed, I was like, I see why people don't go after their dreams, or I see why people quit.
It's expensive.
Yeah, it's very expensive. And it's not even just that. But when you're doing something that so many people want to do, it's just like, what makes you think that you're going to be, the one to blow up? You really have to believe in yourself. Like, I've watched Shark Tank when I was younger, and I remember the contestants, they would say, oh, I spent all my savings on this, or I took out money from my 401k. And I would think like, really? You spent all that? Yeah, you got to do that. It comes with a price. It comes with a hefty, hefty price tag. And a lot of people don't realize that.
And you only see the success stories out of it too. The people that pull out their 401ks. I know some guys that they pulled out every single one of their dollars and of the 401ks, and they built a multi-million-dollar business and have thrived and done great things with it. But on the flip side, for every single person that's successful with that, there's probably 90 people or 99 people with that have failed. Or you don't see that they pull all the money out of their 401k and drain their savings, drained all their investments, did not succeed with it. And yeah, pursuing your passion is expensive. And for example, this podcast, I'm making no money from it. It's purely a passion project. I want to help America learn about finances. Do I think I'm going to become the next Dave Ramsey? Probably not, because I think, one, he does a phenomenal job, and they have some great talent on there. They got George Campbell, they got Rachel Cruz, and they have so many different awesome talents on there. Do I think I'm ever going to be as big as Dave Ramsey? No, but I also don't care to. I just want to help. If I can help change 100 people's lives, 10 people's lives, one person live with every single video, then that means the world to me. And I just want to help educate people, because I was fortunate enough when I was in high school, I took a Dave Ramsey course, and that changed my financial future and trajectory, because I started learning about investing, started learning about budgeting, started learning about compound interest. And that's what got me to start investing I started my first business when I was 15, and I took that class when I was either 15 or 16 and went to my dad and was like, hey, I want to start investing my money that I'm making from my business. And that's helped me a lot over the last 10 years now. And I want to help America learn more about money, because I was fortunate in a spot to learn in class and have that class offered to me when a lot of people don't have that opportunity. And I've invested thousands of personal dollars into this show, having guests on here and figuring out how to get this going. And my goal is just to help people. And it's expensive. And the issue is, like you said, a lot of people drain all their savings, drain all their investments to pursue passions. It's not an overnight success, and they get demoralized. And I've been doing this for 5 months now. I just crossed 1,000 subscribers. Might not seem like a lot. My goal is just to help learn and educate people. I've had people come on here and thank me for just opening their eyes about finances. That's what means the world to me more than anything monetarily, is changing people's lives, educating them, and just helping the world learn more about money. So I guess my tangent right there was, yes, pursuing your dreams and passions is expensive. It comes at a cost, and a lot of people do give up when they're so close because of the expenses, because they don't see the progress immediately. And the same thing with the music is, I don't want you to give up on it, but I also don't want you to go into further debt or any debt because of it. And it's figuring out how can you get yourself in a good financial situation so that you can invest money into those passions.
Yeah, understandable.
So what are your takeaways from this conversation today?
It's definitely to put yourself first, not necessarily like the dream, but just you and what your priorities are. And I feel like with me right now, my priorities is just the career aspect, but it's not the financial aspect. And how am I going to sustain my finances each month if I don't even have a job? I have to put that into perspective. I have to put in my future, and the future is a month from now when I'm not collecting this anymore. So what are you going to do when that happens? And just take what you can, not always just pick what you want. Because I would tell my parents, I don't want to do another 9 to 5, but it's time is ticking now. So whatever is available, unfortunately, you might have to take that. But definitely to be smarter with financial decisions that I make. And I mean, at least I'm still young now, so I could learn as I get older. Okay, don't spend money on this. Or even when it comes to I love the fact that you said even for my dad's birthday, I could have just spent quality time with him. But with my sister's birthday next week, I was just thinking oh shoot, now I have to get her a gift and stuff. So I'll still get her a gift, but it won't be as much.
Write her a card, a handwritten card, and spend some time with her. But you have to prioritize yourself. When you're buying people's gifts, when you're in debt, it's kind of like the saying in an airplane is you're putting other people's masks on before yourself. So you're putting other people's happiness, birthdays, whatever before yourself, and that's going to hurt you in the long term. And in the short term, basically. So you have to prioritize yourself before you can make others happy and prioritize them, because it's just going to hurt you in the long term. You're spotting it right now. I mean, the main things I want to see you do is start budgeting your money. I don't care if you're on unemployment. I don't care if you're making $1 billion a minute. If you're not budgeting your money, you're not going to know where it's going to go. So you need to start budgeting, tracking every single expense. Use a free platform. I use one called mint.com. But you need spreadsheets, but you have to understand where every single dollar is going. How much are you spending eating out? How much are you spending on X, Y, and Z, so that you can cut back on things that are not needed. 2, you got to be hustling to get a job. Like you said, you got a ticking bomb right now of under a month of when unemployment ends. And when that ends, you have no income coming in. You've been living all that for the last 5 months. You got to hustle. You don't really have much of a choice, like you said, with do you want to do 9 to 5 or do you want to do these project gig things right now? Because right now, you have to take what you can get. And if that means you're going to go work a 9 to 5 for the next 3, 4, 6 months until you get acting going, until you get your music career going, whatever it might be, you got to do that because you got to live. You have to make money. Life's expensive. New York's expensive. If you want to go live on your own, you can't live like the way you're living right now. So you have to find a job that's sustainable, that is consistent income. And then once you get that, you got to have a plan for paying off this debt. And again, right now, your debt with being $2,000, $2,200 is frankly not that high. It's something that you can pay off and living at home in under 2 or 3 months easily. If you have a plan, if you have a budget, and you pause your music stuff. But the worst thing you do is get a job and say, okay, I'll worry about the Discover card 12 months from now, or I'm going to invest another $1,000 in a new music video when, hey, that could wipe away your student loans, or that could wipe away majority of this credit card. So you have to pay off this debt as quickly as possible when you get a job. And then the last thing is educate yourself. And I'll send you a bunch of resources too, but you got to start learning and educating yourself about money, about investing, whether it's in a 401k or it's in a Roth IRA or it's in real estate or budgeting, how to budget, what to budget. But you have to start educating yourself. You're young, you're 27 years old, and you have a lifetime ahead of you. I'm young too. I'm 26. I'm just basically the same age as you. Yeah, we have a world of life ahead of us if we're lucky. Hopefully we live till we're old. We have plenty of time to change things in our life, recover from bad financial decisions, and build the life that we want. But it all starts with educating yourself now so that when you're 30, when you're 40, when you're 50, that the actions you take today only affect you positively in the future financially. So really have to start educating yourself and learning. I hope you can do it. I know you can do it. Speak it into existence. You are going to do it. I'll send you again a lot of different resources just to learn from, to look at. And I want to be a resource for you. I want to do a follow-up hopefully in 6 months from now or 12 months from now. And me say, hey, Michaela's back on here. She's debt-free. She moved out on her own. She's got a full-time job and she's saving money. She's investing money and she's putting a little bit of money into her music career right now. And I hope that's a conversation we have 6 to 12 months from now. And it's not unrealistic at all. It's not like you have $100,000 of student loan debt or credit card debt that you're trying to pay off right now. It's okay, you got $2,000, 6 or 12 months from now, you can be debt-free, you can have a fully saved emergency fund, and you can be living and enjoying things that you want to in life. So I hope we can have that conversation 6 to 12 months from now.
Yes, hopefully.
Awesome, Michaela. Well, thank you so much for joining today. Thank you for your time. And hopefully we'll see you on a follow-up here in a few months.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
So broke, I barely had money for food. I had a hefty retirement. I used it to pay my mortgage and had to learn how to walk and talk again. The value dropped 50%. In a year and a half, I don't know, probably like 170.
Why are you carrying a balance?
But when you're in survival mode, you make foolish mistakes. And my foolish mistakes were using my retirement money.
Lighting $100 a month on fire.
When I bought a car, they told me my payment would be like $200 a month. It ended up being like $350. I was panicking. Well, we didn't have any money. I'm Leslie Kane, and I'm calling in from Las Cruces, New Mexico.
And what do you do for work in New Mexico?
Well, I just retired. I retired for medical reasons. I should have retired 5 years ago, but I loved what I did so much. I didn't want to at all. I designed clinical trials in medicine, and I also had a private practice. So I was a doctor, I was a psychologist, but my clinical trials in medicine weren't in mental health, of course.
And so how long you been a psychologist and had your own private practice?
Well, I was a psychologist for about 17 years. And then I also was a financial advisor for Bank of Switzerland for 13 years. And then also I was in the Army for 7 years and served in combat.
Well, first, thank you for your service. Second, it sounds like you've done it all then.
Right, lots of things. And started a bunch of little businesses too. But that's,
Awesome. So throughout your career, what was your ranges of income for those different career paths that you're on?
Well, let's see. Financial advisor was probably about $140 a year. And then a psychologist, my last years I was pretty sick. So I probably, in the beginning, I probably made 80. And then the last 5 years, I probably only made, I would treat patients that also were extraordinarily low income. So I probably would make $5,000 a year.
$5,000 a year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. And then in the Army, what was your range of income in the Army?
Terrible. I think my highest, I was a sergeant, and I think with combat pay, I only made like maybe $1,200 a month.
So definitely a wide range of income there with $1,200 a month in the Army. So that's $14,000 a year, to psychologist, $80,000 in the beginning, but then you said the last few years was only about $5,000 a year. Correct.
Because I worked with patients that were very, very low income, so I would charge $10 a session,
That's very nice of you.
Otherwise, they never would have gotten the treatment that they so desperately need. A Medicaid waiting list for mental health is 2 years. So I didn't want patients because they can't afford it not to have therapy.
That's awesome of you to give back to people in your community, then to give them affordable care to get the help that they need.
Absolutely.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you define your current financial situation?
Well, I have plenty of, I have enough money to pay my bills every month. And I have money to put into retirement and savings. But I don't have a lot of extra money at the end of every month.
Where would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being terrible, 10 being amazing.
A 5.
5. Okay. So you said you've retired for medical reasons. What income are you bringing in right now?
Sure, I get Social Security, and that is about $2,300 a month, and then I bring in 100% Army disability income, and that is $3,300 a month. So it's around $5,000.
So $3,300 from Army, $2,300 from Social Security. That puts you about $5,600. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Do you have any other sources of income right now apart from those?
Oh, I did some acting.
Okay. And what's your annual income from that, would you estimate?
Well, I just started last year, so I started in exactly a year ago. And last year I made $2,000, and then this year I've had some setbacks. I haven't been able to apply for jobs, so this year I've only made $1,000 year to date. That's just something I really love to do, and they pay actors terribly.
Okay. So right now, I mean, about $5,600 a month. And then acting as a chair on top if you're getting any gigs from that. Let's talk about current assets and current debts. So what are the current assets you have right now from house, cars, retirement accounts?
Okay. So my house is worth $1.3 million. My car is paid for. I paid $53,000 for it, I think. And what else did you ask? Credit card debt is $5,000. And what else?
Credit card debt, $5,000. But you said you have it paid for. You buy your car cash for $53,000 or $53,000. When did you buy that?
This December. It'll be 2 years ago.
And then what other retirement accounts do we have?
So in one account I have $400, and in another account I have $50,000.
Okay, and those invested in target date funds and ETFs. What are the single stocks? What are those invested in?
I have a private money manager, so mostly dividend paying growth stocks and some T-bills.
And are those 401ks, Roth IRAs, traditional IRAs?
The 400 is a cash account, an individual cash account, and the IRA is only 50 because when I got really sick 15 years ago, I lost everything I own, and though I know better than anyone else, never use your retirement money. I was too embarrassed to walk away from my home. I had a loft in downtown Denver, and so I foolishly, it was during the 2008 housing market crash, and so the value of my property during that crash dropped 50%. So I couldn't sell it. And so then, because of wanting to do the right thing, I used my retirement to pay mortgage and living expenses. I had to learn how to walk and talk again, so there was no way that I could work. I foolishly lost all my retirement trying to do the right thing and pay all my bills. So in hindsight, I wouldn't have done that. So I really hope for listeners, even I used to tell everyone never use your retirement, but yet I did. And so that was very painful. Losing everything, my car, my home, that was rough. And considering my whole life, I had perfect credit and really, really did my best to, every bill I pay, I get a bill, I pay it that day. My whole life. And so then losing everything, and my career, it was hard.
Yeah, that can't imagine what you're going through. We'll touch on that too as we kind of go along. So I'd love for listeners to learn more about your story on that and how to not pull stuff out of your retirement account. But that's definitely a vicious cycle. If you start pulling money from it, it can leave you in not a good situation. But right now, it seems like you have built up some assets since then. I want to touch on one thing with, I guess we were missing one other aspect from assets. You said, do you have any money in savings right now?
I do. Yeah, I have an account with 30, an account with 20, and an account with $3,000. So 53,000 in savings.
Okay. And are those just in high yield savings account or just as checking accounts?
Let's see. Currently they're just in checking accounts, yeah.
And then debts we have. You said you have credit card debt, $5,000. And then what other debts do we have? Do we have a mortgage on the house?
I do. It's half paid off. Well, it's not true. it's half plus 300,000. So 400 plus 700,000 of it's paid off. And the home is worth well, wait, let me think just a second. So, I bought a house for 700,000 and I paid half off when I bought it and then paid mortgage. And then I added a casita, a 1,500 square foot casita, and that's paid for in cash with 300,000, about 350. It's being built right now. So I'd say 320.
Okay, 320 left on the mortgage.
I only have about 250 left on the mortgage out of 1.3 million.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's a great spot. Over $1 million in equity in your house then. So with all of that, with your investment accounts, $450K there, your savings, $53,000. Then we have the mortgage, $250,000, and credit card debt, $5,000. We have $1.8 million in assets, $255,000 in debts. So that brings your net worth to just about $1.55 million. Does that sound about right?
About right, yeah.
So the first thing I want to touch on is why are you carrying a balance on your credit cards and why you have credit card debt right now if you have $54,000 in your savings account?
Well, I pay $1,600 a month on my credit cards, so it'll be gone in a couple months. So
why don't you just pay it immediately so you don't have to pay interest to the bank every single month? Because right now you're paying 18% interest on your credit card debt. So if you have $5,000 in there, I mean, it's about $1,000 a year. So you're paying essentially $100 a month to these banks to just keep that balance there when you have money in your checking account that's earning, if it's in a normal checking account, it's earning 0% interest. If it's a high yield savings account, it's earning 4%. So you're essentially just lighting $100 a month on fire by keeping it in your checking account versus paying off the credit card debt.
I guess I could. Yeah, I pay my credit card debt off so fast. I just don't even worry about it.
But you can pay it off tomorrow. That will save you. You're going to pay it over the next 3 months. It'll save you $300. So keeping that money in your checking account, you're just kind of, again, just lighting that money on fire. And I don't want banks to get that money. I want you to keep it in your own pocket.
Yeah, sure. Of course.
So that's definitely something I would do tonight. We get off this call is, hey, go pay the final balance of $5,000. You'll still have $48,000 in your checking and savings accounts. So that is not even a minor dent in that. You still have a great emergency fund with that. But that way you're not owing money to the bank, because credit card debt in America, it's over $1 trillion now. And that's how banks make a lot of their money. They charge I think yours is 18% interest, but a lot of it's usually 20 to 30% interest rates. And that just gets people in a vicious cycle. And so banks make a lot of money. And what I tell people is if you ever pay a balance on your credit card is you shouldn't be using a credit card. Or if you ever carry balance and right now you have the cash to pay for it. So I would say, hey, let's wipe up this credit card debt and then vow to never carry balance on your credit card again and just make sure you're living below your means. So
yeah, for sure. I agree.
How long have you been carrying a balance on your credit card for?
Gosh, 3 months maybe.
Okay, so that'd be $300 you paid in interest basically the last 3 months. And then if you're going to take the next 3 months to do it, probably $600 in interest you'd pay over the course of that loan.
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you totally. Yeah.
Good. Well, hopefully you'll email me tomorrow and say this credit card debt is paid off.
Sure, why not?
Let's talk about college. Did you go to college to study, become a psychologist, or what did you study in college?
I went to university for 17 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I have postdoctorate work at Harvard Medical School. So for my undergrad, I paid for that by being in the Army. And then my master's I paid cash for. And then my doctorate I paid cash for. And then my postdocs I paid cash for.
Wow. So you went to a lot of education there for 17 years then.
As 13 years.
But you went the right way with going to university and undergrad, paying for that with the Army. A lot of people say, hey, there's no way to go to college for free or get scholarships. But I know other people that have gone to med school and gone to the military as well. And the military will pay for it. Yes, you got to be in a contract for 4 years or however many years after that. But that allows you to get your education and not have to go into $100,000 or a couple $100,000 worth of debt if you're going into the medical world or different degrees. So,
correct.
So let's talk about your childhood upbringing. Where did you grow up and what was your childhood like growing up?
Well, I was born in Chicago, but I lived all over the U.S. growing up. And so, yeah, I lived in Chicago, Ohio, Los Angeles, Kansas City, Colorado, yeah. Lived all over growing up.
How did your parents approach money growing up?
Well, we didn't have any money. So I knew never to ask for anything. And we barely had food in the house. So I just knew not to ask for anything, and I knew money was tight.
Did your parents ever talk to you much about money growing up at all?
They didn't teach me how to manage it or anything, no. Nothing.
I guess what were some of your most important financial lessons that you kind of learned from them as you watched them as you grew up saw ways that they spend their money. Was there anything that you remember that you kind of took away from them that you think kind of...
Yeah, I sure did. I learned that I will never, like, if I were to have had children, which I didn't, by choice, I knew that if I ever had children, that I would always work. And because I need, a woman needs her own money and her own retirement. My mom didn't really ever work, and I find not working horrifying. So my mom had no power in her marriages. So that was horrifying to me. And she had to stay in marriages that were unhealthy because she didn't have any money.
So let's kind of dive into your story of 2008. We'd love to kind of hear some more of the backstory on that and some of your kind of lessons from that. But you said you bought a condo in Denver. What year did you buy that?
I bought a loft in Denver, I guess 2007-ish.
And do you know how much you bought that for originally?
I think around $500.
$500,000. Okay. And kind of walk us through the next 12 or 72 months, however long it was, when you ended up having that home value started decreasing rapidly and lost everything.
Oh, sure. So serving in combat, I went from being really super healthy and active, and I still work out now, but really super healthy and active, to having a brain injury secondary to serving in combat. And I became gravely ill overnight and had to learn how to walk and talk again. And I was a financial advisor for Bank of Switzerland at that time, and obviously I couldn't manage OPM, other people's money, and I lost my job, and I had a nice car, and anyway, I had to end up selling everything. I unfortunately I couldn't sell my home because the value dropped 50% because of the housing market crash. And so I unfortunately, I had a hefty retirement. I used it to pay my mortgage, which was very foolish.
How much did you take out of your retirement at the time?
In a year and a half, I don't know, probably like 170 to pay my mortgage and stuff. So yeah, I was still relatively young, and because I didn't want to do the wrong thing and not pay my mortgage, and of all people to know better, I knew better. I still did it because I wanted, pride gets in the way. And then also, losing everything, losing your career and losing physical capabilities. And then from that, diagnoses kept pouring in. And now I have well over 62 diagnoses from having brain damage. and other stuff. So, I was just in survival mode. But when you're in survival mode, you make foolish mistakes. And my foolish mistakes were using my retirement money.
Yeah. And I can't imagine what you're going through with that and having to relearn different functions and having brain injuries from that. And sometimes you make foolish mistakes to keep yourself alive. And maybe there's alternate routes that, hey, you could have rented that out, or you could have sold it at a loss, or figured something out. Versus pulling money out of your retirement account. But you also were in survival mode at the time with going through a lot of trauma in your life. And watch this. If you're going through trauma, you're going through hardships, learn from Leslie's mistake, because pulling from retirement is one of the last things you ever want to do. That mistake alone probably cost you, if I had to guess, over the last 15 years, pulling out $170,000, probably $700,000 it would have been worth about right now, if I had to guess.
Right.
Which is not a small financial mistake, but I'm glad that you have been able to get back on your feet and start building your career back since then, and health-wise too, in a positive direction. So anyone watch this, please do not pull money out of retirement accounts, because they're meant for retirement for a reason. That's why they're called retirement accounts. They're not called for take a loan out to start a business or to go buy a new car accounts. They're called retirement accounts. When you lost everything, did you have a car financed at the time? Because you said you lost your car as well during that time.
Well, I just was able to trade it in for a much less expensive vehicle.
And so did you say that $170,000 was kind of used over what time period?
I think it was a year and a half.
Okay. And during that time, were you learning back just basic skills at that time, and were you able to work after that, or?
I decided once I had some cognitions back, I decided to get my doctorate. So I got my doctorate.
Okay. And where did the cash come from for your doctorate? Was that also pulling from retirement accounts, or what was that being pulled from?
Oh, I don't remember actually. At first I took out student loans, and then when I was 3/4 of the way through the program, I was able to have those loans forgiven because I'm, 100% disabled. And then I had maybe like a year left, and then by that time I had a little VA money for being disabled and a little social security number. So I suspect it came from my income from disability.
Well, I'm glad you didn't have the opportunity to get loans forgiven, and due to your service and being disabled, that you don't have a pile of student loan debt right now. Student loans just resumed. I'm sure you're aware, but in America, they're starting, I guess, in about a week. Payments are due at the beginning of October, and there's definitely an issue with student loans in America. So,
but if the government shuts down, that's going to affect student loans too. So,
will it shut down? I don't know. I guess we're days away right now from whether that's going to happen or not. But I'd presume something will happen and it will get funded again. It won't be shut down, but I guess only time will tell. So
yeah, it will. If that shuts down, I have zero money. So maybe I don't want to pay those credit cards off yet.
It says the vast majority of government will actually carry on as usual during a government shutdown. That's because only 27% of federal spending is considered discretionary and requires annual approval from Congress. The other 3/4 of the government is considered mandatory and will continue as usual. That includes Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security payments, which won't be affected. Neither will the U.S. Postal Service. Is not included either.
Okay.
The military, law enforcement, and other expected workers will also have to work during a government shutdown. The president and members of Congress will work and get paid during a shutdown. However, lawmakers, staffers will not get paid.
Yeah, figures. Okay.
There you go. So you will be still getting your Social Security paychecks from that.
All right.
Let's talk about your current monthly expenses then. So we kind of went through your assets and your debts right now. Over $1.5 million net worth, but still have that credit card balance, which hopefully you're going to pay off soon. But we have your mortgage right now, $3,400. Home utilities, $200. Maintenance, $55.
Home utilities are $200 because I have solar.
Okay. Do you pay cash for your solar?
No.
You financed it?
No, they pay me to have it in New Mexico.
I have solar panel guys knock on my door every other day. I mean, to take out a $30,000 or $40,000 loan to put solar panels on my roof. And I'm like, I'm not taking out a $40,000 loan to have solar panels on my roof. Thank you, but no thank you. Even if it could save me $20 a month or whatever the math shows.
My utility bill was $500 a month before I did the solar panels. So once the casita's done being built, then I'll just pay $50 a month for utilities because of solar. Yeah, it was $500 a month. So
as long as you're getting your tax credits for that and it's covering the entire thing, I'm all for that.
Yeah, we got federal money back and state money back. Quite a bit.
So then on the car and transport section, we have $200 for car insurance, $100 for gas. What kind of car did you buy 2 years ago?
A VW Atlas.
An Atlas. Okay. That's a nice Atlas because those start around $35,000, $40,000, don't they? Just a little bit upgraded.
I don't know.
I have a Tiguan, so I looked at the Atlas. And then groceries, spending $450 a month. So that brings your total necessities to about $4,405. And then we have subscriptions, $50, eating out, $200, gifts and donations, $100, health and fitness, $50, personal care, $125, shopping, $100, pet, $150, travel, $200. Your total fund money, that is $975, which then brings your total monthly expenses to about $5,380.
Yep.
We have your net income is $2,300 plus a $3,300. So that means you're bringing in about $200 more a month than you're spending. Does that sound about where you're at?
I have 1,000 left over. So, maybe something isn't, maybe I buy less groceries or something.
And you budget your money, you track your spending every single month?
Yeah, I pay all my bills. And yeah.
Would you use like a spreadsheets, or do you use like a online platform that kind of categorizes your stuff so you can see how much you spend on shopping and how much you spend on eating out?
I just buy things I need. So I have everything delivered to the house because it's too hard for me to grocery shop, and I have like everything from Amazon delivered: shampoo, body lotion, dish detergent. That just comes to the house because it's too physically difficult for me to go out to the market.
Okay, but I guess to answer my question, you don't use spreadsheets or a budget tracker. Okay. That's something I would also suggest, because you never know how much your money you actually spend until you track every single expense. And a lot of people will find even more leftover money, or say, oh, I spent more than $450 on groceries last month. I spent $500. And you can kind of just monitor that, because it's a lot better to be intentional about your money and understand where it's going versus just spending money. And yes, if you're spending things on necessities, then that's good. But a lot of people talk to in America say, hey, I'm only spending on necessities, but then they don't ever track their spending. You go look at their expenses for the last 3 months, and they spend $1,000 on DoorDash, or they spend $1,500 on Amazon. And if they were tracking their money, they would know, hey, I'm living paycheck to paycheck because I spent $2,000 in the last 3 months on things that I did not need.
No, I'm really good at that. I don't buy things I don't need. I'm really good at it. I allow myself like $50 a month for clothes. I only really buy things that I need. And I check my my bank statement every day, and I check my credit card statement every day. So, that's one thing growing up with no money and then being so broke, I barely had money for food during university. For my bachelor's, I worked full time and took 5 classes. For my master's, I worked full time and took 5 classes. So, yeah, I mean, I really know how not to spend a penny. I'm really good with that. I spoil myself with a plant here and there. So like $20 in plants a month. That's my fun, my fun.
Let's talk about your house though real quick, because I guess in terms of your budget, everything seems pretty good and reasonable for your income. The house is the one thing that kind of scares me a little bit, because your monthly payment is $3,400 and you're bringing in $5,600. So that's about 60% of your net take-home pay.
Right.
Typically, people suggest to be in the 25 to 30% of your net take-home pay. Some people say that. Other people say 28% of your gross income.
Well, I'm considering downsizing. Once the casita's finished, I'm considering selling and downsizing for something around $575.
Okay, so then you'd be able to pay cash for it and have money left over at the end of it then.
Yeah, that I can contribute to retirement. Even though I'm retired now, I can at least put it in a taxable account and invest that money.
I think, honestly, that was a great idea.
Yeah. So I'm looking at that in about 6 months.
Because if you were to do that, and so if you sold your house for $1.3 million, paid off the mortgage, obviously you'd have some closing costs. We'll call it 8% of closing costs. After paying off the mortgage, you'd have about $946 left. And you went out and bought a $500,000 house.
I have about $400 to put into retirement to add to my $450 that I already have, which would be better for my age.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that'd be a phenomenal situation. I'm assuming the house is a pretty big size too. If it's a $1.3 million house.
Well, with the casita, that's including the casita. So yeah, it's big and it has land.
Yeah, so I think that's definitely something to look at and consider, especially just as you grow closer towards retirement. You're obviously living on disability and Social Security right now, but how can you continue to contribute to your investment accounts right now? And essentially, you flipped it around, so your house is worth $500,000, have no mortgage, and you have just under $1 million in investments. You'd be sitting in a great spot right there, because you'd have $900,000. You're still bringing in over $5,000 a month from Social Security and disability, and your monthly expenses would go down drastically.
Correct.
You probably have $500 to $700 a month in property taxes, home insurance, still have your home utilities, but your monthly expenses would go from $5,400 a month to about $2,700 a month. So drastically go down by $2,700. And that would allow you to, hey, I want to go spend money on traveling, or I want to go shop, or I want to buy versus
traveling's my thing. I'll die if I don't travel. So I have, special money set aside every month for traveling. And I travel the world. I've been to 47 countries. So that is my jam. I don't, waste money on anything. I put money for travel.
I like it. Well, traveling is one of the best things in the world, is to go out and explore the world, see different cultures, try new food, see new places.
Yeah.
It's just a great...
It's in my DNA. Like, I have to travel.
So if you want to travel more, I would say that, once that thing's built, sell the house, wipe it clean, and buy something that's all cash, $500,000. And hey, let's throw that entire $2,000 a month difference, or $1,500 of that towards travel, and put $500 more a month into your Roth IRA and allow you to.
Oh, my Roth, sure. Yeah.
Let's dive into, I guess, your current monthly expenses right here that you sent over. So, like you said, you buy a lot of stuff on Amazon. I see 4 or 5 different transactions for about $100 total on Amazon on the first sheet. Chick-fil-A, more Amazon.
I took my mom to Chick-fil-A. I take care of my mom, and she wanted to go there for lunch. I usually don't eat out at fast food.
Okay. What is Mesilla Valley Door LLC?
My garage door broke.
More Amazon.
Yeah, I get everything though, dish detergent, everything that I need. Shampoo, body lotion, everything from Amazon.
You know how much money you spent on Amazon last month?
Yeah, a lot.
It looks like a lot. I haven't calculated all of this, but looks like there's at least 20 transactions.
Yeah, I know because I'm disabled. So if I need a picture frame for artwork, I get a picture frame on Amazon. If I need, laundry detergent, it's Amazon. What have you.
I was saying, make sure like if you start tracking your expenses, you can see how much you actually spent on Amazon.
Yeah.
So then you can figure out, okay, maybe I didn't want the picture frame, I want to put it towards travel. But just point out, because you look at it in your credit card transactions, it doesn't look like a lot, but then you add it up and it's 20 or 30 or 40 times in a month, and it kind of opens up your eyes to how many transactions and how many times you
I order 3 times a month groceries.
in your expenses. Nothing looks too crazy. It's just more of, my biggest suggestion is use a online budgeting tool and platform or Excel spreadsheet so you can track your spending and see how much money you actually spend in different categories. Otherwise, money can disappear quickly. So let's talk about, we already talked about obviously the housing crisis of 2008. Appreciate you sharing that information and that learning mistake of pulling money out of your retirement, and kind of how housing prices don't always necessarily go up. And you learned that in 2008. A lot of people did. But what are some other financial mistakes that you made in the past?
Well, when I was very young, I just came home from the Army for the first time, and I bought a car. And when I bought a car, they told me my payment would be like $200 a month. And then it ended up being like $350 because I didn't know enough about all the taxes and stuff that go on there. So I was panicking. I was panicking because I just started college, undergrad, and I was working full time, but back then that was a fortune for me. So, I'll never, ever, ever buy a car again without being more knowledgeable and asking the right. And of course, I've purchased numerous cars since on my own. And now I know the questions to ask. But that was like a blood-curdling shocker for me because I was told that my payment would be like $200 a month. And then it sure wasn't.
Yeah. The car industry, especially when you're financing cars, is a sneaky industry. And I hear and read on the internet time and time again, people don't understand the ins and outs or the total cost of owning the car or financing the car. And they find themselves in similar situations where they thought it was going to cost them something and it ends up costing them a lot more.
Yeah. I mean, at that point in my life, in undergrad, I always worked in a restaurant full time so that I could have food to eat. Right? I mean, I was that broke. So, yeah.
That's what, lesson, you bought a car cash for your last car 2 years ago. And I think that's the best way to buy cars because you know what your total cost of that car is going to be because you have to write them a check to buy it. And finance.
What I would do is I'd get the loan. In the past, I'd get a loan through them. Then I would go onto my Goldman Sachs app. I'd have a loan within 2 hours. And I'd pay off the expensive car loan and then pay Goldman Sachs back, because it's stupid.
Car loans are a big problem in America. And people need to understand what they're buying, how much it's actually going to cost them, and how car payment is going to be with them for 5 to now 7 or 8 years. They're starting to 3 to 5 year terms. Now they're stretching it out longer and longer to make that monthly payment seem lower. But really, it's just eating up interest payments. So what's the best personal finance advice you've ever learned?
Pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first. That is very, very important because if you don't pay yourself first, you don't save money, make sure you invest every single month, then guess what? You do that for the last line item, it's never going to be there.
Yeah. I always do that. Every time I get paid for my whole adult life, pay yourself first. Of course, when I was in college and barely had money for food. So, and my master's degree, same thing.
What advice would you give to anyone that is younger, looking to go to college or maybe just graduating from college and just starting their careers, what advice would you give them towards their career and then also just financially to start thinking about while they're young?
Oh, sure. Well, like, just to recap, going to university for 17 years, I think it's absolutely ridiculous that they want you to have a major by your third year of undergrad. I mean, you're young. How are you supposed to know? So my advice, if you're going to go to college, just take 2 or 3 classes and work also so that you can pay off how much university is, right? And then also, when you're looking to pick your major, maybe the year before you pick your major, find someone that works in the field that you want to go in and ask if you can shadow them for 3 or 4 weeks. What are the upsides? What are the downsides of being in this career? Because we see a lot of younger people get a bachelor's degree and then they think they want to do this career and then they get into it and really hate it. So really see if you can shadow someone that's already in the career and really ask them, what are the upsides? What are the downsides?
I think that's phenomenal advice. From working in college, I worked all throughout college. I had my own business and did that. It really makes you learn how to manage your time, because even if you're taking a full course load, 5 classes a week, you still have plenty of time to go and work on top of that. And then finding mentors in the career field you want to go into, it gets very, people take out $100,000, $150,000 of student loans to go into a career field they think they want to be in. And they get 1 year or 6 months or 12 months into that career field and realize, hey, this is not what I expected. This is not what I wanted to do.
Right.
Finding someone that's experienced in that career field, finding someone to shadow, like you're mentioning, that can save you a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of money to figure that out before you take out those loans, before you spend 3 or 4 years in college pursuing that career.
Now, I worked all through my bachelor's and through my master's full time. And guess what? I didn't have student loan debt.
Yeah, you hustled. You did school and worked at the same time. And if you can do it, I can do it. Most people can do it. I was fortunate. My parents did pay for my college. I had an in-state scholarship and my parents did pay for it. But I worked more than I went to class. I would sit in my room and work 12 hours a day, and I'd go to class for the 1 or 2 hours a day that I had to. It is definitely possible to do that. Anyone that says otherwise, if Leslie did it, if I did it, if I know 3 other people that have done it, then you can do it too. You can get through college, pass all your grades, get A's while working as well. And that'll leave you in a much better financial situation than taking on all that debt. Awesome, Leslie. Well, really do appreciate your time coming on here today. Love to hear the success you've had since 2008, kind of learning from those mistakes and just health recovery too, just for yourself physically and mentally. And love to see that you're on your way to living your dream life. And currently it seems like doing that, living in a beautiful house, it sounds like in New Mexico. My only suggestions, I guess, would be to you from a financial perspective is have that credit card debt tomorrow so that you don't have interest paying every single month because you have the money in your bank account. Start budgeting your money. You'd be amazed by just tracking your expenses and seeing, hey, plug into something like mint.com is what I use. And you see how much you spend in the last 3 months in different categories. It might open up your eyes to, hey, this is how much I'm actually spending, or, hey, I didn't realize I was spending that much money. And then when it comes to your house, if I was in your shoes, I would sell the house, buy a house cash. And then you said your dreams to travel more. Hey, okay, you're going to $2,600, $2,700 a month from that. Maybe we're going to spend $1,500 of that towards traveling every single month, up that travel budget.
No, I spend a lot more on travel.
Well, I'm saying maybe $2,000 of that, and the other $700 is going to investment accounts.
Yeah, for sure.
But I would do that. If that's what your dream is, and you don't need as big and nice of a house, let's get a smaller house, pay cash for it, cut those expenses, and start enjoying more travel time. So
exactly. Thank you. Thanks for having me.